The rifle clattered against the concrete floor. 400 eyes watched. Staff Sergeant Marcus Stone's voice echoed across the training bay like a thunderclap. "You weakling, you can't even hold a gun!" He was staring at the smallest soldier he'd ever seen. 5'2", 118 pounds, a woman wearing a Navy SEAL trident. What happened next would destroy everything Marcus Stone believed about strength, about warriors, about women in combat. Within 7 days, this weakling would put him unconscious in front of the entire base, and she'd do it with her bare hands. Before we begin, please subscribe to our channel and follow this story to the very end. Comment below which city you're watching from. I want to see how far this story travels. This is the story of Lieutenant Sarah Morgan. The morning air at Naval Special Warfare Command bit through Sarah Morgan's sweat-soaked shirt like frozen needles. December in Little Creek, Virginia, 5:30 in the morning. Temperature hovering just above freezing. Sarah completed her 200th push-up without breaking rhythm. Her arms burned, her lungs ached, but her face showed nothing. Stone, water, air. That's what her father had taught her. When they try to get a reaction, you give them nothing. Around her 16 Navy SEALs mirrored her movements. Up, down, the cadence of warriors, the rhythm of men who had earned their trident through hell itself, and one woman who had done the same. Master Chief Thomas Reed's whistle cut through the dawn. "Recovery, 2 minutes." Sarah rose smoothly, not a single tremor in her arms. She'd learned years ago that showing weakness invited questions. Questions invited doubt, and doubt got people killed. Petty Officer First Class Danny Chen moved beside her. He'd been her swim buddy through buds, had watched her push through Hell Week when men twice her size had rung the bell and quit. "You hear about the Rangers?" Danny asked quietly. "What about them?" 7 of them. Coming today. 3 weeks of joint training. Cross-branch integration. Sarah grabbed her water bottle. "Good. We could use fresh perspectives." Danny snorted. "That's optimistic. Their team leader is Marcus Stone. You know the name?" Sarah didn't respond. She knew the name. Everyone in Special Operations knew the name. Staff Sergeant First Class Marcus Stone. 15 years in Army Rangers, 6 combat deployments, Golden Gloves boxing champion, 3-time winner of the All-Army Combatives Championship, and according to every story she'd ever heard, the most vocal opponent of women in combat roles in the entire United States military. "He's made his opinions pretty clear," Danny continued. "Testified before Congress twice. Said women in Special Ops would get men killed. Called the integration policies. I know what he called them." The rumble of engines cut off their conversation. 3 olive-drab transport vehicles rolled through the main gate. United States Army Rangers insignia on their doors. Sarah felt the shift in atmosphere immediately. SEALs and Rangers had a complicated relationship. Mutual respect wrapped in rivalry. Each branch absolutely certain they were tougher, better, more elite. The vehicles stopped. Doors opened. 7 men emerged, all carrying themselves with that particular Ranger swagger. The confidence that came from jumping out of perfectly good aircraft and considering it a normal Tuesday. Sarah recognized Marcus Stone immediately. The way he moved, the way the others deferred to him. 6'3", maybe 210 pounds. Shoulders like a linebacker, jaw that looked like it had been carved from granite. He scanned the assembled SEALs like a general surveying conquered territory. His eyes swept across the formation, cataloging, assessing, dismissing. Then his gaze found Sarah. It stopped. His lip curled. Master Chief Reed approached, hand extended. "Master Chief Thomas Reed, welcome to Little Creek." Stone shook. His eyes never left Sarah. "Staff Sergeant First Class Marcus Stone. Appreciate the hospitality." His voice carried across the parade ground. Parade ground volume. The kind of voice designed to be heard by everyone present. "Your team's ready to train?" Reed asked. "My team's always ready." Stone finally looked at Reed. "Question is whether your team is ready for us." "We're ready." "All of your team?" Stone's voice dripped with something ugly. His gaze slid back to Sarah, held there. "Even the little ones?" The formation went silent. 30 men suddenly finding interesting things to look at on the ground, in the sky, anywhere but at the confrontation unfolding. Reed's face went carefully blank. "All of my team, Staff Sergeant." Stone smiled, the kind of smile that wasn't friendly at all. He walked toward the formation. Slow, deliberate, his boots crunching on frozen gravel with each step. He stopped directly in front of Sarah. Close enough to invade her personal space, close enough that she had to look up to meet his eyes. "What's your rate, sailor? Not lieutenant, not ma'am. Just the deliberate disrespect of ignoring her rank entirely." Sarah met his eyes. Level, calm. The eyes her father had given her. The steel her mother had forged. "Lieutenant Sarah Morgan, SEAL Team 3. SEAL. Stone dragged the word out, turned it into something obscene, made it sound like a disease. "And how long have you been playing SEAL Lieutenant?" 18 months, Staff Sergeant." 18 whole months. Stone whistled low, shook his head like a disappointed teacher. He turned to his Rangers, raised his voice another notch. "Boys, we got ourselves a veteran here. 18 months. Practically a war hero." Laughter from the Rangers. Uncertain silence from the SEALs. Stone turned back to Sarah. His smile widened. "Tell me something, Lieutenant. They make buds easier for you. Lower those obstacle walls. Maybe let you skip the cold water evolution, give you extra blankets during Hell Week." Sarah's jaw tightened, the only reaction she allowed herself. "Same course, same standards, same Hell Week." "Sure." Stone nodded with exaggerated understanding. "I believe that, I really do. Same standards. No political pressure, no diversity quotas, no senators making phone calls." He leaned closer, close enough that only Sarah could hear his next words. "Try not to break a nail, sweetheart. It's only 3 weeks." The words hit like a physical blow. Sarah's hands curled into fists at her sides. Every muscle in her body screamed to move, to respond, to wipe that smug expression off his face with a right cross that would shatter his jaw. But she was stone. She was water. She was air. "Yes, Staff Sergeant." Stone's smile flickered. He'd expected something. A reaction. An outburst. Something he could use. Sarah gave him nothing. He leaned in again, even closer. "I've seen a lot of women try to play soldier, Lieutenant. They all wash out eventually. Some of them get hurt first. Some of them get other people hurt. But they all quit. Every single one. I haven't quit, Staff Sergeant. Yet." He straightened, raised his voice again. "You haven't quit yet, but we've got 3 weeks. Plenty of time for nature to take its course." He turned and walked toward Master Chief Reed without another glance, dismissing her entirely, as if she had already ceased to exist. "My Rangers are ready to train, Master Chief, assuming we're here to actually train and not to babysit." Reed's voice was carefully controlled. "We're here to train, Staff Sergeant. Let's get your team squared away." The formation broke, Rangers moving toward their assigned barracks, SEALs dispersing for personal time. Sarah held her position until everyone else had moved. Danny appeared beside her. "Sarah, don't. He's trying to get under your skin. Don't let him. I said don't." Sarah walked away. Not toward the barracks. Toward the beach. She needed to run. She needed to feel the frozen sand under her feet. She needed to remember why she was here, what she was fighting for. The ocean was gray and angry. Whitecaps crashed against the shore. The wind cut through her PT clothes like they weren't there. Sarah started running. Her father had loved this beach. Master Chief David Morgan, SEAL Team 6, 22 years of service. 6 deployments, 3 Bronze Stars, 1 Silver Star. Dead at 44. Sarah had been 20 when the officers came with the flag. She remembered the moment the doorbell rang, remembered her mother's face going white, remembered the words that destroyed her world. Killed in action. Aleppo, Syria, March 15, 2019. The official report said he'd been leading a hostage rescue. 12 American aid workers captured by ISIS. David Morgan's team had gotten 9 of them out, but the extraction went bad. Ambush. Overwhelming force. Her father had stayed behind to cover the retreat. Had held off 30 enemy fighters for 13 minutes. Long enough for the helicopters to get away. Long enough for 9 hostages and 11 SEALs to survive. They'd found his body 2 days later. 4 broken ribs. Dislocated shoulder. 17 bullet wounds. He'd kept fighting even after his weapon ran dry. Kept fighting with his hands. Kept fighting until there was nothing left. The Navy had given him the Medal of Honor. Posthumous. Sarah's mother had accepted it at the White House. Sarah had worn her dress blues and tried not to cry. Warriors don't cry during the mission. That's what her father had always said. You save your tears for after, when the work is done, when everyone's home safe. Sarah had been crying ever since. She stopped running, stood at the water's edge. Let the freezing waves wash over her feet. Her phone buzzed. Text message from Danny. Training starts 0800. Stone requested you specifically for the demonstration. Be careful. Sarah stared at the message. Requested her specifically. Of course he had. She looked out at the gray horizon. Somewhere beyond that water, her father had died. Somewhere beyond that water, men still needed saving. Missions still needed completing. And here she was, having to prove herself to a man who had decided she was worthless before he'd ever seen her fight. Her father's voice echoed in her memory. The last conversation they'd ever had. The night before he deployed. You're going to face people who doubt you, baby girl. People who look at your size and see weakness. People who look at your gender and see limitations. Let them underestimate you. That's their weakness, not yours. What if they're right? She'd asked. What if I'm not strong enough? Her father had smiled. That warm, steady smile that had made her feel safe her entire life. Strength isn't about how much weight you can lift, Sarah. It's about how much weight you can carry. And you, my girl, can carry more than anyone I've ever met. You just don't know it yet. Sarah wiped the salt spray from her face, looked down at the dog tags around her neck. Her father's dog tags. She'd worn them every day since the funeral. I'm trying, Dad, she whispered. I'm really trying. The wind carried her words away. The ocean didn't answer. But somewhere she could almost feel her father watching. The training bay was already crowded when Sarah arrived at 0755. SEALs on one side, Rangers on the other. The invisible line between them as clear as any wall. Stone stood in the center of the room. He was talking to his men, gesturing broadly, clearly enjoying being the center of attention. Master Chief Reed caught Sarah's eye, gave her a barely perceptible nod. Whatever Stone had planned, Reed would be watching. At exactly 0800, Stone called the room to attention. "Good morning, ladies and gentlemen." He paused on the word ladies. Let it hang in the air. Today we begin 3 weeks of joint training. The goal is interoperability, learning to work together, learning to fight together. He started pacing, slow, methodical. But before we can work together, we need to establish baselines, need to know what everyone brings to the table. So today we're going to do some assessments, see who can actually perform and who, his eyes found Sarah, might need some extra attention. A few Rangers snickered. Stone silenced them with a look. First assessment, small arms qualification, rifle and pistol, standard Army course of fire. Any objections? No one spoke. Outstanding. Let's head to the range. The rifle range was a 1/4 mile from the training bay. Sarah walked with Danny and 2 other SEALs from her team. Behind them, she could hear Stone talking to his Rangers. His voice carried on the cold air. "Watch this. I want everyone to see exactly what happens when politics puts the wrong people in the wrong jobs." Danny's jaw tightened. "Want me to—" "No." Sarah kept walking. "He wants a reaction. Don't give him one." The range was set up for standard qualification. Paper targets at distances from 25 to 300 meters. Each shooter would fire 40 rounds with the M4 rifle, then 20 with the M9 pistol. Stone stepped up first, made a show of it. Slow, deliberate movements. Perfect stance. Perfect grip. He fired 40 rounds at the rifle targets, 38 hits, 2 misses at 300 meters. Excellent shooting. Then the pistol, 20 rounds, 18 hits, 90% accuracy. Stone stepped back from the line with a satisfied smile. "That's what 14 years of practice looks like. Let's see what 18 months can do." He gestured toward Sarah. The range went quiet. Sarah stepped up to the firing line. She could feel every eye on her. SEALs, Rangers, everyone watching to see if she'd crack under pressure. She picked up the M4. The weight was familiar, comfortable. She'd fired this rifle thousands of times, in training, in qualification, in actual combat. But Stone was watching, waiting for her to make a mistake. She didn't make mistakes. Sarah settled into her stance, let her breathing slow, found that quiet place inside where nothing existed except her and the target. She remembered her father teaching her to shoot. She'd been 8 years old, standing in a field behind their house in San Diego, learning to handle a .22 rifle that was almost as big as she was. "Don't fight the gun, baby girl. The gun is part of you. When you squeeze the trigger, you're not firing a weapon. You're extending your will into the world." Sarah squeezed the trigger. The first target dropped. 300 meters. She fired again, and again, and again. 40 rounds, 40 hits, no misses. The range went silent. Sarah transitioned to the pistol. Didn't pause, didn't hesitate. Let the muscle memory take over. 20 rounds, 20 hits, 100% accuracy. She safed the weapon, stepped back from the line. Stone's face had gone carefully blank, but Sarah saw the flicker behind his eyes, the moment of recalculation, of uncertainty. Master Chief Reed's voice broke the silence. "Time. 3 minutes 47 seconds, the range officer called out. "Perfect score. That's the fastest qualification I've seen in 6 years. Stone recovered quickly. Too quickly. "Nice shooting, Lieutenant. But anyone can hit paper. Combat's different. When real bullets come back when the pressure's on, he shrugged. We'll see who performs and who freezes. Sarah said nothing, just held his gaze. Stone's smile returned. Tomorrow we'll try something more challenging. See how you do when the stakes are higher. He walked away without waiting for a response. Danny appeared at Sarah's side. That was incredible. You destroyed his score. Doesn't matter? Sarah started disassembling her rifle. He's not going to stop. Men like him, they don't change their minds because of evidence. They just move the goalposts. So what do you do? Sarah slid the bolt carrier group out of the receiver, checked it for carbon buildup. You keep performing. You keep being undeniable. You don't let them break you. And if they won't stop trying... Sarah looked at Danny, looked at the dog tags hanging around her neck, heard her father's voice in her memory. Then you break them first. The next 12 days unfolded like a masterclass in psychological warfare. Every training evolution, every briefing, every meal, Stone and his rangers were there. And at every opportunity the comments came. Day 2. Combat water survival. Full gear, 60-pound ruck. Weapons. 3-mile ocean swim in 48-degree water. Sarah had grown up swimming in colder, had learned to love the Pacific's icy embrace during Hell Week, when they'd made her sit in the surf zone for hours until she couldn't feel her body anymore. The cold was familiar, almost comforting. She finished the swim 9 minutes ahead of the next fastest time, emerged from the surf breathing hard but controlled. No shivering, no hypothermia symptoms, just the focused determination she'd learned from her father. Stone was waiting on the beach. Lucky current today. Probably helped being so small. Less drag in the water. Sarah wrung water from her hair. Yes, Staff Sergeant. Day 5. Land navigation. 20-kilometer course through the swamps of Virginia. Full gear. No GPS. Just map compass and skill. Sarah completed the course 40 minutes faster than anyone else, found all 12 waypoints without a single error. Stone reviewed her time log, shook his head. Someone must have marked the course wrong. No way anyone covers that terrain that fast, especially not someone with those short little legs. Sarah said nothing. Day 8. Close quarters battle drills. The kill house. Live fire exercises with real ammunition. The most dangerous training SEALs conducted. One mistake meant someone went home in a bag. Sarah's team breached 8 rooms, engaged 47 targets, 0 civilian casualties, 0 friendly fire incidents, completion time 1 minute 4 seconds, textbook perfect. Stone reviewed the video footage, crossed his arms. Anyone can shoot cardboard. Combat's different. When there's blood and screaming and your friends dying around you, instinct takes over. He looked directly at Sarah. Women aren't wired for violence. It's biology. When it gets real, they freeze. Every time. Corporal Marcus Williams nodded. He was Stone's second in command. 6'5", 250 pounds. They called him Tiny as a joke. It's just science, ma'am. No offense. Sarah was cleaning her weapon 15 feet away. She heard every word. She said nothing. But she remembered. Day 11. Hand-to-hand combat refresher. The gym was packed, every operator from both services, crash mats covering the floor, the smell of sweat and testosterone thick in the air. The SEAL instructor was a grizzled Master Chief named Peterson. He'd been teaching combatives for 22 years, had written 3 of the manuals they used in training. I need 2 volunteers, Peterson called out. 1 experienced grappler, 1 striker. We're going to demonstrate integrated techniques. Before Sarah could process what was happening, Stone's voice boomed across the gym. I volunteer Lieutenant Morgan. The gym went quiet. Sarah turned. Stone was smiling. That same not-friendly smile from day one. "Come on, Lieutenant. Show us what female SEAL standards really mean. I'm curious." Peterson frowned. "Staff Sergeant, I don't think— No disrespect, Master Chief, but we're supposed to be training together, right? Cross-branch integration. Let's integrate." Stone gestured to one of his rangers. "Corporal Derek Hayes here has got a black belt in Taekwondo, 3rd degree. He'll be gentle." Hayes stepped forward. 5'9", maybe 170 pounds, lean and flexible. His grin matched Stone's. "I'll go easy, ma'am. Wouldn't want you getting hurt." Sarah looked at Peterson. The Master Chief's expression said he knew exactly what was happening here. Political theater. A setup designed to humiliate. He gave her a barely perceptible nod. "Your call." Sarah stepped onto the mat. No ceremony, no warm-up. Just movement. One step forward into whatever came next. "All right," Peterson said slowly. "We'll do a light demonstration. 20% speed. Just showing technique." "Nah," Stone's voice again. "Let's make it real. Full speed. Full contact. Let's see what a SEAL can actually do." The gym had gone completely silent. 60 operators watching. Waiting. This was about more than training. This was about proving the point Stone had been making for 12 straight days. Women didn't belong here. Peterson looked at Sarah. "Lieutenant, you comfortable with that?" Sarah faced Hayes. Analyzed his stance. Weight distribution. The slight forward lean of a kicker. The loose shoulders of someone confident in his striking. Her father's voice whispered through memory. "Every opponent tells you how to beat them, baby girl. You just have to listen." "Yes, Master Chief. Full contact is fine." Hayes's grin widened. He bounced on the balls of his feet. Loose, relaxed, already planning his spinning kick highlight reel. "Touch gloves," Peterson said. "Keep it professional." They touched gloves. Sarah's hands looked tiny against Hayes's. Peterson raised his arm. "Ready, fight." Hayes exploded forward immediately. Textbook Taekwondo. A faint jab followed by a spinning back kick aimed at Sarah's head. The kick was fast, well executed, would have looked spectacular. Sarah wasn't there. She'd read the setup the moment Hayes shifted his weight, had seen the telegraphed rotation of his hips. The spin was committed. No way to adjust mid-motion. She stepped inside the arc of his kick. Let his momentum carry him past her. Hayes completed his spin slightly off balance, searching for a target that had moved. Sarah was behind him now. She hooked his lead leg with her foot. Simple sweep, using his own forward momentum against him. Hayes's eyes widened as his balance disappeared. He went down hard, back slamming into the mat with a sound like a gunshot. Sarah followed him down, dropped into side control before he could recover. Hayes was good. He immediately tried to bridge, tried to create space, tried to get back to his feet, but Sarah had already trapped his arm. Her legs locked around his neck and shoulder in a perfect arm triangle choke. Hayes's other arm came up, trying to push her off. The obvious defense, the expected response. Sarah used that momentum. Rolled them both, ended up mounted on his chest, the arm triangle locked deeper, her shoulder pressing into his neck, his own shoulder pressing into the other side. The carotid arteries compressed, blood flow to the brain cut off. Hayes's eyes went wide. He tried to buck, tried to push, tried to escape. Nothing worked. His face turned red, then purple. He tapped. 3 quick slaps against the mat. Sarah released immediately, rolled off him, rose to her feet. Hayes gasped and coughed on the ground. 14 seconds. Start to finish. The gym stayed silent. Sarah extended her hand to Hayes. After a moment, he took it. She pulled him to his feet. Good match, Corporal. Hayes rubbed his throat, stared at her. Something like respect flickered in his eyes before confusion replaced it. Where did you learn to do that? My father. He taught me to grapple before I could ride a bike. Stone's voice shattered the moment. Lucky shot. Anyone can get lucky once. The murmurs started, the tension that had been building for 12 days finally breaking the surface. But before anyone could respond, Master Chief Reed stepped forward. Sarah hadn't seen him enter the gym. Didn't know how long he'd been watching. Reed's weathered face was carved from stone, his eyes fixed on Stone with an intensity that could melt steel. You're right, Staff Sergeant, Reed said quietly. Once is luck. Anyone can get lucky once. Stone's smile returned. Exactly what I... How about 7 times? The gym went silent again. Different silence this time. Anticipatory. Dangerous. Reed walked to the center of the mat. Every operator in the room knew who he was. Master Chief Thomas Reed. Legend. A man who had earned his trident in 1985, who had fought in Panama Desert Storm, Somalia, Afghanistan, Iraq, Syria, who had trained 3 generations of SEALs. When Reed spoke, people listened. You have 7 Rangers, Staff Sergeant Stone. Lieutenant Morgan is 1 SEAL. Reed's voice carried to every corner of the gym. Seems like uneven odds to me. Stone's expression shifted. Uncertain now. Master Chief, I don't think... Here's what I think. Reed turned, addressing the entire gym. We've got 3 weeks of joint training. We're supposed to be building unit cohesion. But seems to me there's some doubt about standards, about capability, about whether everyone here earned their place. He turned back to Stone. So let's settle it. Exhibition match. Lieutenant Morgan versus your entire squad. 1-on-1 matches. 7 consecutive fights. Full contact. No time limits. The gym erupted. Voices overlapping. SEALs looking stunned. Rangers looking eager. Sarah's heart hammered in her chest. 7 fights. Back to back. She'd never done that. Never even trained for that specifically. Stone recovered quickly. Too quickly. Like he'd been waiting for something exactly like this. What are the stakes, Master Chief? Reed smiled. The kind of smile that made Sarah nervous. Lieutenant Morgan wins you issue a formal apology. To her. To every female service member on this base. Written. Public. Documented in your permanent record. Stone's jaw tightened. And if she loses... She requests a transfer. Out of SEAL Team 3. Out of Naval Special Warfare entirely. Admits publicly that she doesn't belong here. Sarah's blood went cold. Her career. Everything she'd worked for since she was 13 years old. Everything her father had dreamed for her. On the line. She wanted to speak, to object, to say something. But Captain Morrison's voice cut through the chaos. The base commander, former SEAL himself. He pushed through the crowd, his expression unreadable. Master Chief Reed, that's a significant proposition. Yes, sir. Morrison looked at Sarah. Really looked at her. Measuring. Assessing. Lieutenant Morgan, do you accept these terms? Every eye in the gym turned to Sarah. Stone smiling. Hayes still rubbing his throat. The SEALs uncertain. The Rangers eager. And Master Chief Reed, her father's best friend. The man who had helped raise her after Dad died. Who had trained her, pushed her, Never doubted her. Reed's eyes said everything they needed to say. I believe in you. I always have. Sarah straightened to attention. Her voice didn't waver. Yes, sir. I accept. Morrison nodded slowly. Very well. 1 week to prepare. Next Saturday. 2,000 hours. This gymnasium. Mandatory attendance base-wide. He looked at Stone. Staff Sergeant, do your Rangers accept these terms? Stone glanced at his men. All 7 nodded. Eager. Confident. This would be over in 30 minutes. Maybe less. We accept, sir. Can't wait. Then it's settled. Morrison's gaze swept the room. 1 week. Make it count. The gym cleared slowly. Rangers joking and laughing, already planning their victory. SEALs quieter. Worried. Supportive, but uncertain. Sarah stayed on the mat. Alone. Processing. 7 men. 60 to 100 pounds heavier each. All trained fighters. All combat veterans. All absolutely convinced they couldn't lose to a woman. Master Chief Reed approached. Waited until everyone else had left. Walk with me, Sarah. They walked in silence. Out of the gym, across the base, the afternoon sun painting everything golden. Toward the memorial wall, where the names of fallen SEALs were engraved in bronze. Reed stopped in front of one name. Ran his fingers across the letters. Master Chief David Morgan. SEAL Team 6. Killed in action. Aleppo, Syria. March 15th, 2019. Sarah's father. He knew this day would come, Reed said quietly. That's why he created Ghost Protocol. Sarah stared at her father's name. The letters she'd traced 1,000 times. What if I can't do this Master Chief 7 fights? I've never... Your dad did 5. Sarah looked up. What? Reed's eyes were distant, remembering. Aleppo. The rescue mission. When the extraction went bad, your dad got separated from the main force, ended up trapped in a building with 3 wounded operators. 5 enemy fighters came through the door. Your dad's weapon had jammed. He was out of options. Reed paused, collecting the memory. He fought them hand to hand. All 5, one after another. Took him 9 minutes. He had 4 broken ribs by the end. Dislocated shoulder. Concussion. Internal bleeding. His voice dropped. But he won, Sarah. He won, and he held that position until the helicopters came back. Saved 3 lives that day, including mine. Sarah felt tears threatening. Pushed them back. I'm not him. No. Reed turned to face her. You're better. He reached into his pocket, pulled out a worn notebook. Brown leather. Water-stained. The pages yellowed with age. Your dad was a great operator, but he was big, strong, trained in the basics. You... Reed pressed the notebook into her hands. He designed an entire system specifically for you, based on your size, your speed, your flexibility. Everything you could become. Sarah opened the notebook with trembling fingers. Her father's handwriting. Neat, precise. The script of an engineer and a warrior. Page 1. For Sarah, my ghost, my warrior. When you're big enough to read this, I'll teach you in person. If you're reading this without me, it means Reed kept his promise. He'll train you. Trust him. But remember, this baby girl size is never a disadvantage. It's only a disadvantage if you let them think it is. The words blurred. Sarah blinked hard. 1 week, Reed said. We train 18 hours a day. I teach you everything your father wanted you to know. Everything I learned in 30 years. Everything that'll help you survive Saturday night. Sarah closed the notebook, clutched it to her chest. What if it's not enough? Reed smiled. Sad. Proud. The smile of a man who had watched her grow from a child into a warrior. Then you go out like a Morgan, fighting until the end. He gripped her shoulder. But Sarah, it'll be enough. Your father made sure of that. Sarah looked at the notebook in her hands, at her father's name on the wall, at the man who had been his brother in arms. 7 days, 7 Rangers, everything on the line. Stone had called her a weakling, said she couldn't even hold a gun. In 7 days, she'd show him exactly what she could hold. The week that followed redefined Sarah's understanding of exhaustion. 4:30 every morning. Master Chief Reed waiting outside her barracks room with black coffee and a grim expression that said today would be worse than yesterday. He was always right. Day 1 was conditioning. Not normal conditioning. Not SEAL conditioning. Something beyond both. 5-minute grappling rounds against rotating opponents. Fresh SEALs cycling in every 5 minutes while Sarah got 30 seconds between rounds to catch her breath. Drink water. Reset. Start again. Danny Chen went first. Then Petty Officer Williams. Then Martinez. Then 4 others she barely knew. All of them bigger. All of them fresh. All of them trying their hardest to submit her. 10 rounds. 50 minutes of continuous combat. Sarah's lungs burned. Her muscles screamed. Her brain fogged from oxygen debt. Sweat poured down her face until she couldn't see. Again. Reed's voice cut through the haze. Master Chief, I can't. You're fighting 7 men back to back. 2-minute rest between each. You need to learn to fight exhausted. Again. Sarah pushed herself up. Her arms shook. Her legs felt like they belonged to someone else. Danny stepped onto the mat. His face showed conflict. He didn't want to hurt her. But Reed had been clear. Full effort. No holding back. Sorry, Sarah. Don't be. Just fight. Danny shot in for a double-leg takedown. Fast. Committed. Sarah sprawled. Her hips drove down on his shoulders. Her hands pushed his head toward the mat. Basic defense. Muscle memory. But her muscles weren't responding right. Too tired. Too slow. Danny adjusted. Got his arms around her waist. Lifted. Sarah went airborne. Crashed down onto her back with Danny on top. 200 pounds of SEAL crushing her into the mat. Time, Reed called. Reset. Sarah rolled onto her hands and knees. Couldn't stand. Not yet. Her vision swam. 30 seconds, then we go again. How many more rounds? As many as it takes. Sarah made it through 7 more rounds before she vomited. Reed handed her water. Waited exactly 60 seconds. Again. Day 2 was technical work. Reed opened her father's notebook to page 15. Read aloud. Small joints break before large muscles tear. Target fingers, wrists, elbows, knees. Quick, devastating strikes. Move on. No wasted motion. No showing off. They drilled for 14 hours. Just joint manipulation. Reed's hands became targets. Sarah learned to see every finger, every wrist, every elbow as a lever. A fulcrum. A mechanical system designed to fail under the right pressure, applied at the right angle. Your dad was an engineer before he was a SEAL, Reed explained during a water break. He understood that bodies are just machines. Machines break when you exceed their tolerances. Sarah twisted Reed's wrist, applied pressure to the joint, felt the moment where pain became damage. Good, faster. She did it again. Faster. Again. Day 3 was reconnaissance. Reed made Sarah observe Stone's Rangers during their normal training. They didn't know she was watching, didn't know she was cataloging every weakness, every habit, every tell. "Your father's second rule," Reed said, pointing to the notebook. "Every warrior has a tell. Find it in 10 seconds. Exploit it in one move." Sarah watched. Really watched. Corporal Hayes, the taekwondo specialist she'd already beaten. He was angry now, embarrassed. When he sparred, he overcommitted to his kicks, trying to prove something, trying to redeem himself. Anger made him predictable. Corporal Jackson. They called him Hound. Pure brawler. No formal training. Every punch started from his shoulder. Big windup. Telegraphed 3 moves in advance. Powerful, but slow. Corporal Martinez. Wrestler. College level, maybe Division I. Strong pressure. Good takedowns. But every shot came from the same setup. Same level change. Same penetration step. She could see it coming a mile away. Corporal Thompson. The sniper. Lean. Flexible. Muay Thai trained. Used his reach advantage, but he dropped his chin when he threw elbows. Exposed his neck for half a second during transitions. Half a second was enough. Corporal Williams. Tiny. 6'5", 250 pounds. The biggest man she'd ever have to fight. Slow, but incredibly strong. And when he got tired, when his arms got heavy, he dropped his left hand. Every time. A habit carved into muscle memory from years of lifting. Corporal Peterson. MMA background. Well-rounded. No obvious weaknesses. But he hesitated before combinations. Just a fraction of a second. Like he was thinking instead of reacting. Thinking was death in combat. And Stone. Sarah watched him the longest. The champion. 12 years of boxing. Golden Gloves winner. Technical. Smart. Disciplined. But there was something else. She watched him throw punches during pad work. His right cross was devastating. His left jab was sharp. Perfect form. Then she saw it. The right shoulder. When he fully extended his right hand just for a split second, his face tightened. Pain. Old injury. Probably a rotator cuff tear that never healed properly. He favored that shoulder. Subtly. But it was there. Sarah wrote everything in a small notebook. Her father's on one side, her observations on the other. Day 4 was speed work. "Your dad used to say fast beats strong," Reed told her. "Smart beats fast, but fast and smart together, that's unstoppable." They drilled transitions, guard passes, sweeps, submissions. Everything had to flow. No pause, no reset. One technique into the next, into the next. Sarah's body learned to move without thinking. Muscle memory carved into place through thousands of repetitions. When your opponent moves left, you've already moved right. When they push, you've already pulled. When they think they have you, you're already gone. Reed demonstrated flowing from position to position like water. Ghost protocol. That's what your father named it. Because you become a ghost. Impossible to pin down. Impossible to predict. Sarah drilled until her muscles gave out. Then she drilled more. Day 5 was mental preparation. Reed sat her down, made her close her eyes. Visualize each fight, beginning to end. See yourself winning. Feel yourself winning. Does that actually work? Your mind can't tell the difference between vivid visualization and real experience. So we give your mind 7 victories before you step on that mat. Sarah closed her eyes. She saw Hayes throwing his spinning kick. Saw herself stepping inside. Saw the arm triangle locked. Saw him tap. She saw Jackson charging in. Saw herself redirecting his momentum. Saw the rear naked choke sink in. Saw him go limp. She saw Martinez shooting for the takedown. Saw herself sprawling. Saw the guillotine choke catch his neck. Saw him slap the mat. She saw Thompson throwing his elbow. Saw herself ducking under. Saw the flying triangle catch him mid-motion. Saw his face turn purple before he tapped. She saw Williams looming over her. Saw herself dancing away. Saw his left hand drop. Saw the opening. Saw herself flying through the air for the arm bar that would end it. She saw Peterson hesitating. Saw herself not hesitating. Saw the submission locked before he knew what happened. And Stone, she saw his right cross coming. Saw herself slip outside. Saw him wince as his shoulder flared. Saw herself take his back. Saw the choke sink in. Saw him refuse to tap. Saw him go unconscious. 7 fights. 7 victories. All in her mind. But her mind was screaming something else. Something she couldn't quite silence. What if it's not enough? Day 6 was rest. Sort of. Reed made her swim. Easy distance, 20 laps in the pool. Let the water work the soreness from her muscles. Ice baths. 20 minutes in water cold enough to stop her heart. Massage therapy. Nutrition. Sleep. But Sarah couldn't sleep. She lay in her bunk staring at the ceiling. Her father's notebook on her chest. Tomorrow was the fight. 7 men. Her entire career. Her phone buzzed. Text from Danny. Can't sleep either. You ready? Sarah typed back. No. That's honest. Terrified, actually. Your dad was terrified too, before every mission. Reed told me once, said fear kept him sharp. Sarah stared at the message. Her father. Terrified. It didn't fit the image she had of him. The invincible warrior. The man who could do anything. He really said that, word for word, said only idiots weren't scared. Smart people feel the fear. They just don't let it stop them. Sarah closed her eyes. Imagined her father lying in a bunk somewhere, the night before a mission, feeling exactly what she was feeling now. It helped somehow. Knowing she wasn't alone in this. Knowing he'd faced the same demons. Another text. Whatever happens tomorrow, you've already proved them wrong. You made it through buds. You earned that trident. Nobody can take that. Stone's trying to. Stone's an idiot. And tomorrow you're going to show everyone exactly how much of an idiot he is. Sarah smiled despite herself. Thanks, Danny. Get some sleep. You've got 7 asses to kick. She put down the phone, picked up her father's notebook, turned to the last entry. He'd written it the week before his final deployment, the one he didn't come back from. His handwriting was slightly shakier than earlier entries. He'd known somehow that it might be his last. Sarah, if you're reading this, I'm probably gone. I'm sorry I won't be there to see you become what I know you'll be. The strongest, smartest, most capable warrior I could imagine. But here's what I need you to remember. Being strong isn't about never falling. It's about standing back up. Being brave isn't about never being scared. It's about fighting anyway. And being a warrior isn't about never crying. It's about crying, wiping your eyes, and getting back to work. I love you, baby girl. Make them remember your name. Dad. Sarah read the words 3 times. Then she closed the notebook, hugged it to her chest. Tomorrow, 7 men would try to break her. Tomorrow she'd show them what a Morgan was made of. Saturday arrived with cruel cheerfulness. Bright winter sunshine. 42 degrees. Light breeze from the east. Sarah's stomach felt like lead. 1,800 hours. 2 hours before the fight. She sat alone in her room. Father's notebook open on her lap. Trident pin on the desk. Dog tags around her neck. A knock on her door. "Come in?" Master Chief Reed entered carrying a small bag. His face was serious. Professional. But Sarah saw the warmth behind his eyes. "How you feeling?" "Terrified." "Good. Terror keeps you sharp. Everyone keeps saying that. Because it's true." Reed sat on the edge of her bunk, pulled something from the bag. Black cloth. Worn and faded. "Your dad wanted you to have this. Made me promise years ago. Said to give it to you when you faced your biggest challenge." He unfolded the cloth. A belt. Black belt. Krav Maga. The edges frayed from decades of use. The black faded to gray in places. This was his. Earned it in 1992. Wore it for 25 years. Every training session, every deployment. Said it carried his spirit, his technique, everything he'd learned. Reed held it out. Time to pass it on. Sarah took the belt with trembling fingers. The material was soft, worn. She could almost feel her father's hands on it. His sweat, his determination, his love. "Thank you, Master Chief." "Don't thank me yet." Reed stood. "You still have to fight. 2,000 hours. Don't be late." He started toward the door. Stopped. "Your dad used to say one more thing before missions. What? Pain is just weakness leaving the body. Tonight you're going to lose a lot of weakness. 2,000 hours. The gymnasium was packed. Every SEAL on base, every ranger, support personnel, officers, enlisted. Maybe 500 people jammed into a space meant for 300. In the center, a regulation fighting ring. Ropes, canvas, proper lighting. Captain Morrison had made this official. Sanctioned. Legal. Sarah entered through the side door. Black PT shorts. Gray navy t-shirt. Her father's belt tied around her waist. No jewelry. No distractions. The crowd saw her. Noise dropped by half. Whispers. Pointing. Speculation. Reed waited in her corner. He'd assembled a proper team. 2 SEALs to work her corner. Water. Towels. Medical supplies. Sarah climbed through the ropes. The canvas felt solid under her feet. Real. This was happening. Across the ring, Stone and his rangers were laughing. Loose, confident. Hayes shadowboxing. Thompson stretching. Martinez and Jackson bumping fists. Williams cracking his massive knuckles. Peterson rolling his neck. Stone caught Sarah's eye. Smiled. Mouthed 2 words. "Game over." Sarah stared back. Gave him nothing. Stone. Water. Air. Captain Morrison climbed into the ring. He carried a microphone. "Good evening. What we're about to witness is an exhibition match sanctioned under military combatives regulations. Medical personnel are standing by. Rules are simple. Standard MMA regulations. No strikes to groin or throat. No eye gouging or fish hooking. Match continues until submission, knockout, or referee stoppage." He paused. "Let the gravity settle. Lieutenant Morgan will face 7 opponents consecutively. 2-minute rest between each match. Fight order has been determined by rank, lowest to highest." Morrison looked at Sarah. "Lieutenant, do you accept these terms?" "Yes, sir." "Staff Sergeant Stone, do your Rangers accept these terms?" Stone's smile widened. "Absolutely, sir." "Then let's begin. First match. Lieutenant Sarah Morgan versus Corporal Derek Hayes." The crowd roared. Sarah walked to her corner. Reed grabbed her shoulders. Remember everything. Fast beats strong. Technique beats size. You've already beaten Hayes once. He'll be angry this time. Angry makes mistakes. You stay calm. Stay technical. End it quick. 6 more after him. Sarah nodded. Breathed. Felt her heartbeat slow despite the adrenaline. Hayes entered the ring. Shirtless. Lean muscles. Taekwondo tattoo on his ribs. He bounced on his toes. Eager. The referee called them to center. I want a clean fight. Protect yourselves at all times. Touch gloves. They touched gloves. Sarah's hands looked tiny. Ready. The referee raised his arm. Fight. Hayes came forward immediately. Feint jab. Feint low kick. Setting up his spinning back kick. Same sequence as before, but angrier, faster, more committed. Sarah knew it was coming. Had visualized this exact moment 100 times. The spin started. Beautiful technique. Fast. Powerful. Sarah stepped inside the arc. Let his momentum carry him past. Hayes completed the spin. Off balance, searching for a target that had moved. Sarah hooked his lead leg. Simple sweep. Hayes crashed hard, back slamming into the canvas. Sarah dropped into side control. Hayes bridged, tried to create space. She'd already trapped his arm. Legs wrapped around his neck and shoulder. Arm triangle choke. Tighter than before. Faster. Hayes's eyes widened. His free hand pushed against her shoulder. Sarah rolled. Ended up mounted on his chest. The choke locked deeper. Hayes's face turned red. Purple. He tapped. 3 quick slaps. Sarah released. Stood. 14 seconds. The crowd erupted. Hayes left the ring holding his throat. His teammates helped him to a bench. Sarah watched him go. 1 down, 6 to go. Reed handed her water. Good. Drink. Small sips. 2 minutes goes fast. Sarah drank. Cold water. Perfect. Across the ring, Stone's face had changed. The easy confidence cracked slightly. The referee called time. Next match, Lieutenant Morgan versus Corporal Marcus Jackson. Jackson climbed through the ropes. They called him Hound for a reason. 6'1". 205 pounds of muscle and bad intentions. Tattoos covering both arms. Broken nose healed crooked. Street fighter. Every inch of him. He didn't bounce or showboat. Just walked to center ring with a predator's focus. Nothing personal, ma'am. Just doing my job. I understand, Corporal. Touch gloves. Step back. Fight! Jackson charged. Wild right hook aimed at Sarah's head. The kind of punch that would end things if it landed. Sarah had watched him train. Knew this was coming. Big wind-up. Telegraphed from 3 moves away. She stepped inside the arc of his swing. Let his fist pass over her shoulder. Jackson's momentum carried him forward. Off balance. Committed. Sarah moved with him. Classic judo. Her hip became a fulcrum. His body mass became leverage. Jackson went airborne. His eyes widened. He hit the canvas hard. 200 pounds from 4 feet up. The impact drove air from his lungs. Sarah heard the wheeze. But Jackson was tough. Started pushing up immediately, trying to get back to his feet, back to his comfortable striking range. Sarah dropped onto his back as he rose. Legs around his waist. Arms snaking around his throat. Rear naked choke. One arm across the throat. Other hand gripping her own bicep. Classic configuration. Jackson's hands came up. Grabbed her forearm. Tried to pull it away. He was strong. Much stronger than Sarah. His grip felt like iron. But strength didn't matter here. The choke was locked. Perfect technique. Perfect angles. Jackson tried to stand. Sarah's legs locked tighter. He actually got up. Got one foot under him. Then the other. Stood with Sarah on his back like a backpack. The crowd gasped. Jackson stumbled forward, trying to ram Sarah into the corner post, trying to crush her. Sarah squeezed tighter, felt his pulse against her forearm. Fast. Desperate. "Tap, Corporal. It's over." Jackson shook his head. Stubborn. Proud. His legs wobbled, buckled. They went down together. Sarah held the choke. Professional. Controlled. Jackson's arms went slack. Body went limp. The referee rushed in. "Stop! Stop! He's out!" Sarah released immediately. Rolled away. Jackson lay unconscious. Face purple. Breathing, but gone. The gymnasium fell silent. Medical personnel rushed the ring. 30 seconds later, Jackson's eyes fluttered open. Confusion. Then awareness. Then shame. They helped him out. Sarah stood. Her legs felt heavy now. 2 fights, 2 submissions. But she'd had to hold that choke longer than expected. "Work harder." Reed grabbed her shoulders. "Good, perfect technique. But you're breathing harder. Drink more. Sit down." Sarah sat. Her arms tingled. 4 more fights, each one bigger, stronger, more skilled. "Stay focused," Reed said. "Don't think about the next 4, just the next one." The referee called time. "Next match, Lieutenant Morgan versus Corporal Diego Martinez." Martinez entered. The wrestler. 6 feet even, 185, broad shoulders, thick legs. Sarah had watched him shoot takedowns for hours, knew his patterns. But knowing and stopping were different things. Touch gloves. Step back. Fight. Martinez circled. Cautious. He'd watched 2 teammates lose. Knew rushing was death. He worked angles, probed with his hands, looking for an opening. Sarah circled opposite, watching his level, his hips, the telltale signs of a takedown attempt. 30 seconds. Neither committed. Martinez faked a jab, dropped his level, shot in. Perfect double leg. Fast. Explosive. His shoulder aimed at Sarah's hips. Sarah sprawled. Hip pressure driving down, legs shooting back. Martinez's takedown stalled. His hands grabbed air. Sarah circled behind him, took his back while he was on hands and knees. Martinez was better than Jackson. Technical. He sat to his hip, tried to turn, tried to get back to guard. Sarah read the movement. Body triangle locked, foot hooked behind opposite knee. Martinez hand fought, preventing the choke, elbows tight, chin tucked. Good defense. Sarah didn't go for the choke, controlled his posture instead. One hand on his forehead, pulling back, short punches from back mount, controlled but firm. 1, 2, 3, 4. Martinez tried to defend. Cover up, but defending punches exposed his neck. More strikes. 5, 6, 7. Martinez's arms were tiring. Defending punches, trying to escape, burning energy. The referee watched closely. Sarah's strikes kept coming. Rhythm, pressure, relentless. Martinez's guard dropped. Just a fraction. The referee stepped in. Stop TKO. 2 minutes 8 seconds. Martinez was conscious, unhurt except for his pride, but he'd been unable to defend, unable to improve position. He looked frustrated, angry at himself. Sarah helped him up. Good match, Corporal. Your wrestling is solid. Not solid enough. He shook his head. Left the ring. Sarah's corner. Reed with water. With towel. 3 down. Halfway. How you feeling? Tired. Good. Embrace it. They're tired watching. You're tired doing, but you're winning. Keep winning. Sarah sat. Her shoulders burned. Her legs felt like concrete. 3 fights. Maybe 9 minutes of actual combat, but 9 minutes of maximum output, of technique, of violence. She thought about her father. Aleppo. 5 fighters. 9 minutes. 4 broken ribs. He'd done it for 9 minutes. She could do it for maybe 18. She had to. The referee called time. Next match, Lieutenant Morgan versus Corporal Ryan Thompson. Thompson entered carefully. The sniper. 5'11", 180. Lean and flexible. Muay Thai trained. The best pure striker in Stone's squad. This would be different. Touch gloves. Thompson's expression was serious. Focused. Respect, ma'am. But I'm not going out like they did. I understand. Fight. Thompson started orthodox. Traditional Muay Thai. Hands high. Elbows tight. Weight balanced. He threw a low kick. Testing. Sarah checked it. Shin to shin. The impact echoed. Another low kick. Another check. Thompson was working. Building rhythm. Setting patterns. 40 seconds of careful exchange. Low kicks. Teeps. Both fighters technical. Thompson threw an elbow. Fast. Well disguised. Sarah slipped it. Felt the wind. She countered with a hook. Thompson blocked. More circling. More measuring. A minute passed. Thompson threw a combination. Jab. Cross. Low kick. Sarah blocked. Blocked. Checked. Then Thompson threw a knee, aimed at her midsection, fast. Committed. Sarah caught it, both hands on his shin. Thompson's eyes widened. Balanced on one leg. Committed to the technique. Sarah twisted. Used his momentum. Thompson tried to recover. Hop back. Pull free. Sarah jumped. Flying triangle choke. They crashed to canvas together. Sarah's legs locked around Thompson's neck. One leg across his throat, the other hooked behind his head. His own arm trapped. Thompson worked defense immediately. Posture, pressure, trying to stand, trying to slam. Sarah had the angle, had the position. She grabbed her own shin, pulled down, tightened. Thompson fought for 30 seconds, 40, 50. His face turned red, sweat dripping. He tapped. 1 minute, 44 seconds. Sarah released. Thompson rolled away, gasping. He stayed on canvas for a moment, then stood, walked to Sarah, extended his fist. That was textbook, ma'am. Respect. Sarah bumped his fist. You're the best striker I've faced tonight. Not good enough. He left the ring with dignity intact. The crowd was roaring now, seals on their feet, even some rangers applauding. 4 men, 4 victories, back to back. But Sarah knew the truth. She was exhausted. Her arms shook. Her legs felt distant. Reed knew it too. 2 left, the biggest and the best. This is where champions are made. This is where Morgans don't quit. Sarah nodded. Couldn't speak. Just drank water. Tried to recover in 2 minutes what her body needed 2 hours to restore. Across the ring, the 2 remaining rangers were talking. Williams, the giant, and Stone, the champion. Williams looked nervous. He'd watched 4 teammates lose. Stone's expression was unreadable, calculating. The referee called time. Next match, Lieutenant Morgan versus Corporal Tyler Williams. Williams stood 6'5", 250 pounds. The biggest man Sarah had ever faced. He climbed through the ropes. The ring shook under his weight. Sarah stood. Her legs barely cooperated. They met at center. Williams looked down at her. Actually looked apologetic. "Ma'am, I don't want to hurt you." "Then don't, Corporal. Just fight." Touch gloves. Williams's hands were enormous. "Fight." Williams stalked forward. Slow. Careful. His reach advantage was massive. He could control the center, control the distance. Sarah circled, footwork sluggish, 4 fights of lactic acid, of exhaustion. Williams threw a jab, long, snapping. Sarah pulled back. The fist passed an inch from her face. Another jab. She slipped. 30 seconds. Williams barely moved, just worked his jab. Patient, smart. Sarah needed to get inside, needed to close distance. But she was tired. Williams was fresh. 1 minute. Williams threw another jab. Sarah slipped outside, tried to close. Williams circled away, maintained distance. The crowd grew restless. Sarah pressed forward, more aggressive, forced Williams to work, to jab more, to move more. 1 minute, 30. Williams was breathing harder, his arms getting heavy. Sarah watched his left hand. Still up, still disciplined. 1 minute, 45. Williams threw a right cross. Big, powerful. Sarah ducked under. And there it was, just for a second. Williams' left hand dropped 6 inches, recovering from the big punch, the habit asserting itself. Sarah moved. Flying arm bar, her body horizontal in midair, legs wrapping around Williams's extended arm, all her weight falling backward. Williams's eyes went wide. He tried to pull back, but his arm was trapped. They crashed to canvas, Sarah's momentum pulling Williams forward, his arm hyperextended, elbow bent the wrong way. The pop was audible. Williams screamed, tapped frantically, slapping canvas over and over. Sarah released instantly. Williams clutched his elbow, face twisted in agony. 2 minutes, 12 seconds. David beats Goliath. The crowd erupted, noise deafening, SEALs chanting something Sarah couldn't make out. Medical team rushed the ring. Williams's elbow would need x-rays, maybe surgery, but Sarah had controlled the submission, released the moment he tapped. They helped him out. He looked at Sarah as they passed, nodded. Respect from a giant to the woman who'd beaten him. Sarah stood alone in the ring, legs shaking, arms trembling. 5 men, 5 victories, 17 minutes of combat. Every technique her father taught her, every principle he'd written, every drill she'd run with Reed. It had worked. All of it. But she had one fight left. The hardest fight. Staff Sergeant Marcus Stone. He was already climbing through the ropes. Fresh. Focused. All arrogance gone from his face. He'd watched. He'd learned. He wouldn't make the mistakes his men had made. Reed grabbed Sarah's shoulders. "One more. Just one more." "I can barely stand, Master Chief." "Then win on the ground. Get him down. Make it your fight." When Sarah looked at Stone, at his perfect boxing stance, his 12 years of experience, at his right shoulder, the weakness she'd identified. "What if I can't?" Reed's eyes met hers, fierce, proud. "Your father held off 30 men for 13 minutes with 4 broken ribs. You've got 2 working arms and 1 opponent. You're a Morgan Sarah. Act like it." The referee called them to center. Final match. Lieutenant Sarah Morgan versus Staff Sergeant Marcus Stone. Stone met her eyes. "You've earned my respect tonight, Lieutenant. But this ends now." Sarah's legs screamed. Her arms felt like lead. Her lungs burned, but her voice was steady. "We'll see, Staff Sergeant." Touch gloves. The referee raised his hand. Fight. Stone didn't rush. He moved forward with the patience of a predator who had all the time in the world. Textbook boxing stance. Left foot forward, hands protecting his chin, weight perfectly balanced. 12 years of training in every step. Sarah circled, tried to stay outside, tried to conserve what little energy remained in her burning muscles. Stone threw a jab. Fast. Snapping. The kind of punch that set up combinations. Sarah slipped it. Barely. Another jab. She slipped again. Stone was working, establishing rhythm, testing range, building the foundation for something bigger. This was technical boxing, not brawling, not wild swinging. This was skill versus skill, experience versus youth, fresh versus exhausted. Sarah knew she was losing before the first real exchange. 30 seconds in. Stone threw a combination. Jab, cross, hook. Sarah blocked the jab. The cross glanced off her shoulder. The hook caught her ear. Her head snapped sideways. Stars exploded across her vision. The crowd gasped. Stone pressed forward. Smelled blood. Another combination. Faster this time. Sarah covered up. Blocked most of it. But a jab got through. Split her lip. She tasted copper. 1 minute. Stone was winning. Landing cleaner shots. Controlling distance. Making her react instead of act. Sarah's legs felt like they belonged to someone else. 5 fights of accumulated damage. 5 fights of maximum output. She had nothing left. Stone threw a straight right. Sarah slipped outside. Tried to counter with a low kick. Stone absorbed it. Didn't even check. Just ate the kick and threw a cross that snapped her head back. The gymnasium spun. Sarah stumbled, caught herself, raised her guard. Stone was smiling now. Not cruel, almost respectful. The smile of a craftsman admiring his work. You're tough, Lieutenant. I'll give you that. Most people would have quit by now. Sarah said nothing. Couldn't spare the breath. 1 minute 30, another combination. Jab, jab, cross, hook. The last hook caught her temple. Sarah's vision blurred. Her right eye was swelling. Blood ran down her chin from her split lip. Reed's voice from the corner, desperate. Move, Sarah. Don't let him pin you down. She tried to circle. Tried to create angles, but her legs wouldn't respond the way they needed to. Stone cut off the ring. Professional. Methodical. Giving her nowhere to run. 2 minutes. He threw a long jab. Sarah slipped it. Saw an opening. Stone's right shoulder. For just a split second, his guard dropped as he extended. The old injury, the weakness she'd identified during reconnaissance, but she was too tired, too slow. The moment passed before she could capitalize. Stone saw her looking. His eyes narrowed. He knew she knew. 2 minutes 30. Stone changed tactics, started targeting her body. Hooks to the ribs, uppercuts to the solar plexus. Each shot drove air from Sarah's lungs, made it harder to breathe, harder to think. Her guard dropped. Just for a second. Stone's right cross came screaming in. Sarah saw it too late. Tried to pull back. The punch caught her flush on the jaw. The world went white. Sarah's legs gave out. She dropped to one knee. Canvas rough against her skin. The crowd roared, rangers on their feet, SEALs silent, horrified. The referee started counting. 1 and 2, 3. Sarah heard the count through cotton. Distant, muffled. Her father's voice cut through the fog. The last thing he'd ever said to her. The morning he left for Syria. When you get knocked down, baby girl, you get back up. That's not a suggestion. That's not advice. That's who you are. Morgans get back up. 4-5. Sarah's hands found the canvas. Pushed. Her arms shook. Screamed. refused. 6, 7. She pushed harder, got 1 foot under her. 8, both feet, standing, barely, but standing. The referee looked at her, assessed. You okay to continue? Sarah raised her guard, nodded. The crowd exploded. Both sides now. Everyone screaming. Stone came forward, pressed his advantage, threw another combination. Sarah blocked. Blocked. Took a body shot that made her grunt. But she was still standing. 3 minutes. Round 1 ended. Sarah stumbled to her corner. Collapsed onto the stool. Couldn't hold herself up. Reed was there. Water. Ice for her eye. Towel for the blood. He's winning, Sarah gasped. I can't touch him. Yes, you can. He's favoring that shoulder. I saw it twice. He winced. I'm too tired to... Then be tired on top of him. Reed grabbed her chin, made her look at him. You're a grappler, Sarah. Stop trying to box a boxer. Get inside, take him down, make it your fight. I can barely stand. Then be tired while you're choking him, but don't be tired while he's punching you in the face. Sarah tried to focus. Her vision swam. Her lip throbbed. Your father fought 5 men for 9 minutes at Aleppo, Reed said. 4 broken ribs, internal bleeding. He couldn't breathe right, couldn't see out of 1 eye, but he kept fighting. You know why? Because he had to. Because Morgans don't quit. Reed's eyes burned into hers. You hear me, Morgans? Don't quit. The referee called time. Round 2, fight. Sarah stood. Her legs wobbled. She walked to center ring. Stone was waiting. Fresh. Confident. Ready to give up yet, Lieutenant? Sarah didn't answer. Just raised her guard. Different stance now. Lower. More compact. Not trying to box anymore. Trying to survive long enough to get close. Stone recognized the change. His eyes narrowed. He threw a jab. Sarah didn't slip this time, just blocked and stepped forward. Another jab. She blocked. Stepped forward again. Stone threw a cross. Hard. Fast. Sarah took it on her guard. The impact jarred her entire body, but she kept moving forward, closing distance. Stone backed up, tried to reset, threw a hook to create space. Sarah ducked under it, got inside his reach, grabbed his waist. Stone tried to sprawl. Good wrestling defense for a boxer. Pushed her head down. But Sarah wasn't shooting for his legs. She was climbing him, like a spider. Arms around his torso, legs driving forward. She pulled his balance. Threw her hip into him. Stone tried to post. Tried to base out. Sarah kept climbing. Got to his back as he turned. They went down together. Not clean. Not pretty. A scramble of bodies and desperate grips. But Sarah ended up where she needed to be. Back mount. Legs wrapped around his waist. Hooks in. Stone was face down on the canvas. 210 pounds of boxer pinned under 118 pounds of seal. The crowd went insane. Stone immediately started working. Trying to turn. Trying to shake her off. Trying to stand. His wrestling defense was better than expected. He got to his hands and knees. Sarah stayed glued to his back. Let him carry her weight. Let him burn energy while she conserved. Stone tried to peel her arms away. His hands grabbed her wrists. Strong. So strong. She could feel his power through his grip. But grip strength didn't matter when your arms couldn't reach the choke. Sarah waited. Patient. Let him tire himself out. 30 seconds of struggle. Stone breathing hard now, the pace taking its toll. He tried to stand again. Got 1 foot under him. Sarah rode him up, stayed on his back like a backpack. Stone reached back, tried to grab her head, Tried to throw her over his shoulder. Sarah ducked, avoided the grip, tightened her legs. "Get off me!" Stone's voice was strained, desperate. "Make me." 45 seconds. Stone was fading, his movements getting slower, less coordinated. Sarah started working for his neck, one arm snaking under his chin. Stone defended, chin down, hands protecting his throat, boxing fundamentals saving him for now. But Sarah was patient. She had time. He was the one burning energy. She threw short punches to his ribs. Legal strikes from back mount, not hard enough to damage. Just annoying. Just making him uncomfortable. Making him react. Stone tried to hand fight, tried to grab her wrists. That opened his neck. Just slightly. Sarah's arms snaked in, got under his chin. Stone felt it, knew what was coming. He grabbed her forearm with both hands, pulling, straining, every ounce of his remaining strength trying to break her grip. The choke wasn't fully locked. His chin was still tucked. Good defense. Sarah squeezed anyway, compressed his jaw, made it hurt, made him miserable. 1 minute of grinding. Stone defending. Sarah attacking. Neither willing to give. Then Stone made a mistake. Tired. Frustrated. Hurt. He tried to pull her arm away from his throat, used both hands, committed fully to breaking the choke. That removed his hands from his neck defense. Sarah adjusted immediately, got her forearm deeper, across his throat now, not his jaw. The choke locked. Stone felt it, knew it. His eyes went wide. He tried to tuck his chin. Too late. The choke was in. Sarah could feel his pulse against her forearm, fast, frantic. "Tap, Sergeant. It's over." Stone shook his head. Stubborn. Proud. The same pride that had started this entire confrontation. 10 seconds until unconsciousness. Maybe less. Stone's movements got sluggish, uncoordinated. His hands stopped pulling at her arm, started flailing. 5 seconds. His legs stopped kicking. His body went limp. 3 seconds. The referee rushed in, checked Stone's eyes, waved his arms frantically. "Stop, stop. He's out, he's out." Sarah released, rolled away. Stone collapsed face first onto the canvas, unconscious, beaten. The gymnasium exploded, 500 people on their feet, screaming, cheering. The noise was physical, a wave of sound that washed over everything. Sarah knelt on the canvas, couldn't stand. Her body had given everything, every technique, every principle, every ounce of strength. 7 men, 7 victories, 24 minutes of combat, against bigger, stronger, more experienced fighters, and she'd beaten them all. Danny was the first through the ropes, grabbed her in a hug that nearly knocked her over. "You did it, Sarah, you did it." Then Reed, his eyes wet. Something she'd never seen before. "Your father is watching Sarah, and he is so damn proud." Medical team worked on Stone. It took longer to revive him. 40 seconds of unconsciousness. His eyes fluttered open. Confusion first, then awareness, then shame. Sarah pushed herself up, walked over on legs that could barely hold her. Stone was sitting up. Medics checking his vitals, his rangers standing around him. Defeated. Humiliated. Sarah extended her hand. Stone stared at it. Pride warring with something else. The whole gymnasium watching. 500 witnesses. Finally he took it. Let her help him up. The crowd's roar intensified. Seals chanting something. Sarah couldn't make out the words through the ringing in her ears. She raised Stone's hand alongside her own. Warriors recognizing warriors. The gesture quieted the crowd slightly. Stone leaned close, spoke so only Sarah could hear. I was wrong. About everything. Sarah nodded. I know. How? Because you're still here. Still conscious long after most people would have tapped. She met his eyes. That's a warrior staff sergeant. Gender doesn't change that. Stone's eyes were wet, not quite crying, not quite able to hold it back. You weakling. Can't even hold a gun. His voice cracked. That's what I said. First day. I remember. And here you are, holding 7 Rangers down with your bare hands. Sarah smiled, blood on her teeth from her split lip, right eye nearly swollen shut. That was your mistake, Sergeant. You confused size for strength, appearance for ability. You looked at me and saw what I couldn't do. You never bothered to look at what I could. Stone was silent for a long moment, processing, rebuilding everything he thought he knew. Can you forgive me? That's not the question you should be asking. What is... Sarah looked at the crowd, at the female support personnel watching from the edges, at the women who would come after her, who would face men like Stone throughout their careers. The question is what you're going to do now that you know you were wrong. She turned, started walking toward her corner. Stone's voice stopped her. Lieutenant Morgan. She turned back. Stone straightened, came to attention, raised his hand in a perfect salute. It was an honor to fight you, ma'am. Sarah returned the salute. Crisp, professional. The honor was mine, Staff Sergeant. She made it 3 more steps before her legs gave out completely. Danny caught her before she hit the canvas. Easy, easy, I've got you. They helped her out of the ring. Through the crowd, people reaching out to touch her, to congratulate her, to tell her what she'd done. Sarah barely heard any of it. Her vision was tunneling, body shutting down. Reed appeared at her side. Medical bay. Now. I'm fine. You're not fine. You took a beating that would have hospitalized most people. You just don't feel it yet because you're running on adrenaline. He was right. Sarah could feel it now. The crash coming. The accumulated damage of 7 fights making itself known. Her ribs screamed. Her head pounded. Her lip was still bleeding. But she'd won. 7 fights. 7 victories. Her career intact. Her place earned. She'd proven what her father had always known. That technique beats strength. That intelligence beats size. That heart beats everything. And that a Morgan never quits. The next hours blurred together. Medical examination, x-rays, stitches for her lip, ice packs for everything else. The doctor's verdict. 2 cracked ribs, possible mild concussion, severe muscle fatigue, dehydration, nothing that wouldn't heal with time. You're lucky, the doctor said. Very lucky. Sarah lay on the examination table, her father's dog tags pressed against her chest. Luck had nothing to do with it. The doctor smiled. Rest, fluids, no physical activity for at least 2 weeks. Doctor's orders. Yes, sir. They gave her a private room. Danny sat with her for a while. Then Reed. Around midnight there was a knock on the door. Come in. Stone entered. He looked different somehow. Smaller. Less certain. He stood at the foot of her bed. Didn't say anything for a long moment. Couldn't sleep, he finally said. Kept thinking about what you said. About what I'm going to do now. Sarah waited. I testified before Congress twice. Told them women would get men killed in special operations. Used my experience, my reputation to argue against integration. I know. I was wrong. Stone's voice was barely above a whisper. Not just about you. About all of it. He pulled a chair close, sat down heavily. My sister wanted to be a Marine. Did I ever tell you that? Sarah shook her head. Emily. She was 3 years younger than me. Tough as nails. Could outshoot half my squad. But when she told me she wanted to try for combat roles, I talked her out of it. Told her she'd fail. Told her she'd get hurt. Told her women weren't built for it. Stone's hands were shaking. She listened to me. Went to nursing school instead. Became a civilian. Got married. Had kids. That doesn't sound so bad. It wasn't. Until 2 years ago. Stone's voice broke. She got sick. Cancer. By the time they found it, it had spread everywhere. Sarah felt the weight of what was coming. She died 3 months later. And the last thing she said to me, the very last thing, was, I should have been a Marine, Marcus. I should have followed my dream. I let you talk me out of the only thing I ever really wanted. Stone wiped his eyes. Didn't try to hide it. I've spent 2 years trying to prove I was right. That she was better off not trying. That she would have failed anyway. That I saved her from disappointment. He looked at Sarah. Really looked at her. But you proved me wrong tonight. You proved she could have done it. That I stole her dream for nothing. Sarah reached out. Took his hand. Your sister didn't die because of your words, Sergeant. But every day you spend trying to stop capable women from serving that dishonors her memory. I know that now. So what are you going to do? Stone took a deep breath. Let it out slowly. Monday morning. Full base formation. Public apology. Like we agreed. And after that, I want to learn. What you did tonight, that system ghost protocol. I want to understand it. I want to be able to teach it to others. Sarah studied his face, looking for deception, finding only sincerity. Why? Because the next Emily shouldn't have to face what she faced. What you faced. If I can help train people, help prove that size doesn't determine capability, maybe I can make up for some of the damage I've done. Sarah was quiet for a long moment. Processing. My father created that system for me. It took him 15 years to develop it. I'm not asking for it. I'm asking to earn it. How? Stone met her eyes. However you want. I'll train. I'll study. I'll do whatever it takes. I just need the chance to try. Sarah thought about her father, about what he would want. Ghost protocol wasn't just techniques. It was a philosophy, a way of thinking about combat that could change how people trained. Keeping it secret wouldn't honor her father's memory. Spreading it would. Tuesday morning, Sarah said. 0600. Bring your squad. The ones who can walk. We start then. Stone's face transformed. Relief. Gratitude. Hope. Thank you, Lieutenant. I won't let you down. See that you don't. Stone stood, started toward the door. Stopped. Your father. What was he like? Sarah touched the dog tags at her chest. He was the best man I ever knew, and he believed I could do anything. He was right. I know. Stone nodded. Left. Sarah lay back on the pillow, exhausted, battered, but somehow at peace. 7 fights, 7 victories, and maybe, just maybe, the beginning of something bigger. The first rays of Sunday morning sun found Sarah still awake, still processing everything that had happened. Her phone buzzed. Text from Danny. You're famous. Videos everywhere. 20 million views already. Sarah stared at the message. 20 million people had watched her fight. 20 million people had seen a 5'2" woman take down 7 men. Another text. Stone's been getting calls all morning. News wants interviews. Pentagon wants briefings. Everyone wants to know about the female SEAL who did the impossible. Sarah didn't feel like she'd done the impossible. She'd just done what her father trained her to do. She typed back, "Tell them I'm sleeping." "Liar." "Tell them anyway." She put down the phone, picked up her father's notebook, turned to his last entry. Read it again. Being strong isn't about never falling. It's about standing back up. Sarah closed her eyes. Let the exhaustion take her. She'd stood back up. 7 times. Now she needed to rest. To heal. To prepare. Because this was just the beginning. And Morgans never quit. Monday morning arrived cold and gray. 600 personnel stood in formation on the parade ground. Officers and enlisted, SEALs and Rangers, support staff and medical personnel. Sarah stood at parade rest beside Captain Morrison. Her face was still swollen, stitches visible on her split lip, dark bruises painting both eyes. But she was standing. That was what mattered. Stone marched to the podium. Immaculate dress blues, every ribbon perfectly aligned, his jaw tight with the weight of what he was about to do. The formation fell silent. "Good morning." Stone's voice carried across the parade ground. Strong, clear, no hesitation. "I am Staff Sergeant First Class Marcus Stone, United States Army Rangers. I stand before you to issue a formal apology." He paused. Let the gravity settle. 2 weeks ago, I arrived at this base with 7 Rangers and a lifetime of prejudice. I looked at Lieutenant Sarah Morgan and saw someone who didn't belong. Someone weak. Someone who had been given a position she hadn't earned. His eyes found Sarah. Held there. I was wrong. Completely. Utterly. Inexcusably wrong. The formation stayed silent. Stone continued. "I called Lieutenant Morgan a weakling, said she couldn't hold a gun, said women didn't belong in special operations. I spent 12 days trying to prove that she was inferior." He shook his head. "Saturday night, Lieutenant Morgan defeated my entire squad, 7 trained combat veterans, back to back, while exhausted, while bleeding, while fighting through injuries that would have stopped most men I know." Stone's voice dropped. "She didn't just beat us. She outclassed us. She showed every single person in that gymnasium what real strength looks like, and it has nothing to do with size." He straightened, raised his voice again. "Lieutenant Morgan, every female service member on this base, every woman who has ever worn the uniform, I apologize. I was blinded by bias. I let personal demons become professional judgment. I used my rank and reputation to demean people who deserved my respect." Stone turned, faced Sarah directly. "You are everything a warrior should be, Lieutenant. You have my deepest apology, and you have my highest respect." He saluted. Perfect, crisp. Sarah returned it. The applause started with the SEALs, spread through the formation. Even some Rangers joined in. Morrison stepped forward. "Formation dismissed." As the crowd dispersed, Stone approached Sarah. "That wasn't easy," Sarah said. "No, but it was necessary." Stone looked at the sky, the clouds, anything but her face. "I meant what I said last night. About learning, about changing." "I know you did. Tomorrow, 0600. Your training starts." "It does." Stone nodded, extended his hand. Sarah shook it. "Thank you, Lieutenant, for giving me a chance I don't deserve." "Everyone deserves a chance, Sergeant. It's what you do with it that matters." Stone walked away, different than before. Smaller, somehow, but also steadier. Reed appeared at Sarah's side. "That went better than expected." "Did it?" He could have made excuses, could have blamed fatigue or luck or circumstances. Instead, he took responsibility. Reed watched Stone cross the parade ground. That's rare. People can change. Some people, when they want to badly enough. Reed turned to face her. Speaking of change, I got a call this morning, from Coronado. Sarah's heart skipped. Coronado. SEAL Team 6 headquarters. What kind of call? The kind that changes careers. Reed's expression was unreadable. They want to talk to you about a transfer. To 6, to DevGru, the development group, the Tier 1 unit. Sarah couldn't breathe. DevGru was the pinnacle, the absolute elite. The unit that had taken down bin Laden, the unit her father had served in for 8 years. When, 3 weeks, after you're cleared medically, they'll fly you out for assessment. Assessment for what? Reed smiled. That rare smile she'd only seen a handful of times. For everything you've ever wanted, Sarah. The next 8 weeks transformed everything. Sarah trained Stone and his Rangers every morning, 0600 to 900. Ghost protocol fundamentals, the principles her father had developed, the techniques that had allowed her to defeat 7 men in a single night. Stone was her best student. He approached training with obsessive focus, wanted to understand not just the how, but the why, the physics, the mechanics, the philosophy. Your father was a genius, Stone said one morning after a particularly brutal session. His arm was still tingling from a joint lock Sarah had demonstrated. He was an engineer. He understood how things break, including people, especially people. By week 4, Stone could execute most of the basic techniques. By week 6, he was teaching them to others. By week 8, he was developing variations of his own. You have a gift for this, Sarah told him. I have a teacher who won't let me quit. Their relationship had evolved into something unexpected. Friendship, the kind forged through conflict and resolution, through respect earned in blood and sweat. Sarah discovered she enjoyed teaching, breaking down her father's system, explaining the mechanics, watching understanding dawn in students' eyes. Then came the Tuesday morning that changed everything again. Sarah was running the obstacle course with Stone's squad when Captain Morrison found her. Lieutenant Morgan, conference room, immediately. Bring Staff Sergeant Stone. They jogged to the admin building. Morrison's tone had been clipped. Professional. Urgent. The conference room held senior officers, a civilian whose suit screamed government intelligence. Sit. Morrison's voice left no room for questions. They sat. We have a situation. Somalia. 6 American CIA operatives taken hostage 4 days ago by al-Shabaab militants. Intelligence puts them in a compound outside Mogadishu. We're assembling a rescue force. Sarah's heart hammered. A real mission. Real lives depending on real decisions. SEAL Team 3 leads. Morrison continued. Army Rangers support. Mixed element. 14 operators total. He looked directly at Sarah. Lieutenant Morgan, you'll command the close quarters battle element. 7 operators. Your mission: breach the compound, locate the hostages, extract them alive. Sarah's mouth went dry. Command. In combat. Lives depending on her. Yes, sir. I accept. Morrison turned to Stone. Staff Sergeant, your remaining squad will be part of Lieutenant Morgan's element, under her command. Problems. Stone didn't hesitate. No, sir. It's an honor. Morrison nodded. We launch in 72 hours. Intelligence briefing in 1 hour. Dismissed. The next 3 days blurred into controlled chaos. Intelligence updates, equipment checks, rehearsals, mission planning. Sarah designed the assault plan using everything she'd learned, Everything her father had written, everything Reed had taught her, everything the brutal exhibition match had proven. The compound had 3 buildings, hostages in the central structure, 2nd floor, minimum 12 guards, maybe more. Entry through the north wall, Sarah briefed her team. Demo charge creates the breach. Stack 1 through first. Clear left. Stack 2 follows. Clear right. Speed is everything. They hear us coming, hostages die. Stone sat in the front row, taking notes, asking sharp questions. What about the rooftop sentries? Sniper team takes them 30 seconds before breach. Synchronized shots. And if the hostages aren't where intel says, we clear every room until we find them. Nobody leaves until all 6 are accounted for. Stone nodded. No more challenges. No more skepticism. Just a soldier preparing for war. Mission night came faster than Sarah expected. She stood on the deck of USS Bataan, the ship cutting through dark waters toward the Somali coast. Stars overhead. The smell of salt and diesel. Reed found her at the rail. He'd pulled strings to be there. Wouldn't let her do this without him watching. Your dad stood on a deck like this before Aleppo, Reed said. Same stars, same nervous energy. Sarah nodded. Couldn't speak. You scared? Terrified. Good. Fear keeps you sharp. Reed stood beside her. You know what he told me the night before that mission? What? He said he wasn't afraid of dying. He was afraid of not being good enough, of making a mistake that got someone else killed. That's exactly what I'm afraid of. I know. That's why you'll be good at this. Reed turned to face her. The commanders who aren't afraid, who think they have all the answers, they're the dangerous ones. Fear makes you careful. Makes you check your work, makes you listen to your team. Sarah looked at the stars. Somewhere under those same stars, 6 Americans were waiting, hoping, praying that someone would come for them. What if I make the wrong call? Then you live with it, like every commander in history. Reed gripped her shoulder. But Sarah, your plan is solid. Your team is ready. Trust yourself. Trust your training. Trust that your father knew what he was doing when he created Ghost Protocol. He created it for me to defend myself, not to lead people into combat. He created it because he knew what you'd become. He always knew. Sarah touched the dog tags at her chest. Cold metal against her skin. I miss him, Master Chief. I know. I miss him too. Reed's voice was thick. But he's here. In that system he built. In the training he gave you. In the warrior you've become. He's here. Sarah wiped her eyes. Straightened her spine. 2 hours to insertion. Then you better get your team ready. 2,100 hours. 14 operators gathered in the ship's hangar bay. Full combat gear. Weapons. Night vision. Medical supplies. Everything they'd need to bring 6 Americans home. Sarah stood before them. 14 sets of eyes waiting for her to lead. Listen up. 6 Americans are in enemy hands. 4 days of captivity. Every hour increases the risk they don't come home alive. Our job is simple. Get in, get them out, get everyone home. She activated the tactical display, satellite imagery of the compound. Insertion via rigid hull inflatable boats, 3 miles offshore, 2-mile overland approach. Hit time 300 when guards are tired and reaction time is slowest. She walked them through every phase, every contingency, every what if. Stone asked questions, sharp, professional. The other Rangers followed his lead. By the end, everyone knew their role. Everyone understood the stakes. Rules of engagement, Sarah continued. Deadly force authorized, but hostage safety is priority 1. If you have to choose between taking a shot and risking a hostage, you hold fire. We accept risk to ourselves, never to them." She paused, looked at each face. "Questions? None. Gear up. We launch in 30 minutes. The insertion went perfectly. 2 boats hit the beach at 2:15 time. No contact. The team moved inland. Fast. Silent. 14 shadows flowing through darkness. Sarah led point. Stone behind her. The stack following in perfect formation. 2 miles of rough terrain. 40 minutes of careful movement. Every step controlled. Every sound suppressed. They reached the compound perimeter at 0255. Sarah raised her fist. The team froze. Through her night vision, she studied the target. 3 sentries visible. Bored. Smoking. Talking among themselves. Completely unaware. She hand-signaled to the sniper team. 3 targets. Synchronized shots. Counted down on her fingers. 3, 2, 1. 3 suppressed shots. 3 sentries dropped. Silent kills. Sarah moved forward. The team flowed behind her. 14 operators moving as one organism. They reached the building. Stack positioned at the north wall. Sarah looked at the demo specialist. Nodded. Breaching charge placed. Armed. 3, 2, 1. The explosion ripped through the wall. Not loud. Shaped. Precise. Just enough to create an entry point. Sarah was first through. Weapon up. Night vision painting everything in shades of green. Hallway. Clear. She moved. The team flowed behind her. 12 operators. 1 machine. First room. Door. Sarah kicked it open. 2 men inside. Scrambling for weapons. Sarah's rifle spoke. Controlled bursts. 2-round center mass. Target down. Stone engaged the second. Clean shot. Room clear. Moving. Second room. Empty. Third room. 3 hostiles. More alert now. Weapons in hand. Sarah dropped the first before he could aim. Stone took the second. A ranger named Patterson got the third. Clear. Moving. Stairs. The fatal funnel. Most dangerous part of any building assault. Sarah led the ascent. Slow, methodical, checking corners, clearing threats. A hostile appeared at the top. AK-47 rising. Sarah fired first. 2 rounds. Threat eliminated. They reached the second floor. Another hallway. Voices ahead. Arabic. Angry. Confused. They knew something was wrong. Didn't know what yet. Sarah moved fast. No time for caution now. Speed was life. She reached the door. Locked. Heavy. Stone stepped up. Shotgun breech. 1 round to the hinges, 1 to the lock. The door crashed open. 6 Americans inside. Bound. Blindfolded. Terrified. And 3 guards. Weapons pointed at the hostages. Time stopped. 1 guard had his rifle pressed against a woman's head, his finger on the trigger, eyes wild with fear and anger. "Drop weapons," he screamed in broken English. "Drop or she dies." Sarah's rifle was aimed at his face. Clean shot, easy kill, but his finger was on the trigger. If she shot him, he might squeeze. Reflex action. The woman would die. "Easy," Sarah said. Calm. Controlled. "Nobody needs to die here. You drop now." The other 2 guards were backing toward the window, looking for escape routes, their weapons still aimed at hostages. If Sarah's team fired, all 3 guards might shoot. Multiple hostages could die. If they didn't fire, the guards might execute everyone anyway. No good options, only less bad ones. "Stone," Sarah said quietly. "Left target." "Got him." "Patterson, right target." "Ready. On my shot." Headshots only. We can't risk trigger squeeze. Copy. Sarah centered her reticle on the main guard's forehead. The woman beneath his rifle was crying, begging. Please, please, I have children. The guard's hand was shaking. He was scared. Scared people made mistakes. I'm going to count to 3, Sarah said. Then we all walk away. Nobody gets hurt. You think I'm stupid? The guard spat. You kill me either way. I don't want to kill you. I want those hostages. You walk out of here, you live. You stay, you don't. Simple choice. The guard's eyes flickered, calculating, weighing his options. His finger tightened on the trigger. 1, Sarah said. The guard's breathing quickened. 2. He made his decision. Started to squeeze. Sarah fired. The round caught him perfectly. Center forehead. His body dropped before his brain could send the signal to fire. Stone and Patterson fired simultaneously. Both headshots. Both perfect. 3 guards down. 0 trigger pulls. The hostages were screaming. The woman who'd had a rifle at her head had collapsed, hyperventilating. Clear, Sarah called. Room secure, medical. The corpsman rushed in, started checking hostages, cutting zip ties, removing blindfolds. 6 hostages, all alive, minor injuries only. Sarah let out a breath she didn't know she'd been holding. Let's move. We've got maybe 2 minutes before the whole compound wakes up. They moved the hostages toward the stairs. Quick, efficient. No time for comfort. That's when the gunfire started below. Contact! Someone yelled from the ground floor. Multiple hostiles north entrance. The compound was waking up. Reinforcements arriving. Stone, take half the team. Hold the stairwell. Everyone else get these hostages out the back. Copy. Stone grabbed 4 operators, headed for the stairs. Gunfire intensified below. Sarah led the hostages toward the rear of the building. Patterson and 3 others providing security. They reached a window. 20-foot drop to the ground. Rope, Sarah called. A ranger produced a fast rope, anchored it to a support beam. Hostages first, 1 at a time. Move. The first hostage grabbed the rope, hesitated. Go now. He went, slid down, hit the ground, started running. Second hostage, 3rd, 4th. Gunfire from the stairwell. Stone's voice on the radio. Strained. We've got 8, maybe 10 hostiles pushing up. We can't hold forever. 30 seconds, Sarah responded. Almost clear. 5th hostage down the rope. 6th. All hostages clear. Stone, fall back, rally point Alpha. Copy, falling back. Sarah went down the rope last, hit the ground, rolled, came up running. The team was already moving. Hostages in the center. Operators on the perimeter. Standard extraction formation. 2 miles to the beach. 2 miles through hostile territory with enemy fighters behind them. They ran. 1 mile in the ambush hit. Muzzle flashes from a ridgeline. Heavy weapons fire. RPGs screaming overhead. Sarah's team went prone. Returned fire. We're pinned, Patterson yelled. Can't advance with hostages exposed. Sarah scanned the terrain, looked for options. There. A depression that ran behind the enemy position. Natural cover. A flanking route. Stone, take Delta element flank right through that draw. We'll suppress. Copy. Stone grabbed 3 operators. Started moving. Low. Fast. Sarah's remaining team laid down covering fire. Maximum rounds. Maximum noise. The enemy focused on them. Didn't see Stone's team moving. 30 seconds. A minute. Then muzzle flashes from behind the enemy position. Stone's team engaging from the rear. Caught between 2 forces, the ambush collapsed. Move, 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 Sarah commanded. The team surged forward. Through the kill zone. Past the bodies. Toward the beach. Then she heard it. Stone's voice on the radio, strained, pained. "Morgan, I'm hit. Right leg, can't walk." Sarah's blood went cold. "Location, 50 meters behind you, by the rocks." She didn't hesitate. "Team secure hostages, get them to exfil, I'm going back." "Negative," Reed's voice from the ship. "Your mission, Commander. Send someone else." "There is no one else." Sarah was already moving, sprinting back toward Stone's position. "Everyone else is with the hostages." 50 yards, under fire, rounds snapping past her head. She found Stone behind a boulder. Leg bleeding, tourniquet already applied. Good training. But he couldn't walk. "What are you doing?" Stone gasped. "Get out of here. Shut up." Sarah grabbed his vest, deadlifted him. Fireman's carry, 210 pounds of Ranger on her 118-pound frame. Physics, leverage, technique. Her father's voice in her head. She started running. Her legs screamed. Her lungs burned. Stone's weight crushed her shoulders. But she kept moving. 40 yards. Incoming fire. Stone returning shots from his awkward position over her shoulder. 30 yards. Sarah's vision tunneled. Oxygen debt. Muscles failing. 20 yards. She couldn't feel her legs anymore. Just kept putting one foot in front of the other. "Sarah." Stone's voice. Quiet now. "Put me down. Save yourself. Shut up." 10 yards. The team had formed a defensive perimeter, covering fire, creating a corridor. 5 yards. Sarah's legs gave out. They crashed together, rolling. Stone crying out as his injured leg hit the ground. 2 operators grabbed Stone, dragged him the last few feet to cover. Sarah lay on her back, gasping. Stars overhead. Tracers crisscrossing the sky. Reed's voice on the radio. "Air support inbound. 30 seconds. Hold position." The roar of jets. F-18 Hornets screaming overhead. 30-millimeter cannons shredded the enemy positions. The incoming fire stopped. Permanently. "All clear," someone called. "Exfil birds inbound." Helicopters appeared. MH-60 Blackhawks. Landing on the beach. Sarah watched from her back. Couldn't move yet. Her body had given everything. Operators loaded hostages. Loaded Stone on a stretcher. Danny appeared above her. Grabbed her arm. Pulled her up. "You did it, Sarah. Mission complete." Hostages. All 6, alive. Team, all 14, alive. Stone's going to need surgery, but he'll recover. Sarah let Danny help her to the helicopter. Collapsed against the bulkhead as they lifted off. Somalia fell away beneath them. The compound burning. The enemy scattered. Mission success. Stone was on a stretcher beside her. Medics working his leg. He grabbed her hand. "You saved my life." His eyes were wet. "After everything I did to you, everything I said, you came back for me." Sarah squeezed his hand. "That's what warriors do, Sergeant. We don't leave anyone behind." "I called you a weakling. Said you couldn't hold a gun." Stone laughed, winced. "And you just carried 210 pounds through a firefight." "You're heavy." "I know." His grip tightened. "Sarah, thank you." "You're welcome. I'm going to spend the rest of my career making sure no one faces what you faced. No more prejudice. No more doubt. Just capability. Just results." "That's a good goal." "It's a promise." The helicopter banked toward the ship, toward safety, toward home. Sarah closed her eyes. Let the exhaustion take her. 6 months ago, Stone had called her a weakling, said she couldn't hold a gun. Tonight she'd held 7 operators together under fire, held a mission together when it fell apart, held 210 pounds of wounded soldier and carried him to safety. She'd held everything that mattered, and she'd never let go. 6 months later, Lieutenant Commander Sarah Morgan stood before 40 operators in the DevGru training facility at Dam Neck, Virginia. The promotion had come with the transfer, the Navy's recognition of what she'd done in Somalia, what she'd proven in that gymnasium at Little Creek, what she'd become since the day Stone called her a weakling. SEAL Team 6, the most elite unit in naval special warfare, the unit that had taken down bin Laden, the unit her father had served in for 8 years before his death. She was home. The 40 operators before her came from every special operations branch: SEALs, Rangers, Marine Raiders, Air Force Pararescue, 38 men, 2 women. Stone sat in the front row. He'd recovered fully from his leg wound. The Navy had offered him a position as Army liaison to DevGru. He'd accepted immediately. Now he was Sarah's assistant instructor. The man who'd once called her a weakling was helping her train the next generation of warriors. Life had a sense of humor. Today's lesson focuses on size disadvantages, Sarah announced, specifically how to overcome them. She gestured to the largest operator in the room, a massive ranger named Hendricks, 6'6", 240 pounds, built like a refrigerator. "Sergeant Hendricks, step up, please." Hendricks rose, walked to the mat, looked down at Sarah with a mixture of respect and uncertainty. "Ma'am, I don't want to hurt me," Sarah smiled. "That's what everyone says. Then they end up on the ground wondering what happened." Light laughter from the class. Stone grinned. Sarah dropped into her stance, low, compact, the Ghost Protocol foundation her father had designed for her body type. "Sergeant Hendricks has 80 pounds on me, 7 inches of reach, every physical advantage you can imagine." She looked at the class. "But watch." Hendricks moved forward cautiously. He'd heard the stories, knew what Sarah had done. He threw a tentative jab. Sarah slipped inside, close enough to smell his cologne. "When they're bigger, they expect you to stay outside. Use distance. Run away." She demonstrated by sliding around his back. "But distance is their friend, not yours." Hendricks turned, tried to grab her. Sarah ducked under his arms, came up behind him again. "You become a ghost. Here 1 second, gone the next. Impossible to pin down." She shot in, took his legs. Hendricks was too big to lift, so she didn't try. Instead, she ran her shoulder into his knee, disrupted his balance, let his own weight take him down. 240 pounds of Ranger hit the mat. Sarah flowed into side control, then mount, then back mount. Hendricks struggled, but he couldn't shake her. When they're on the ground, size matters less. Technique matters more. She locked in a rear naked choke, not tight enough to submit, just demonstrating. They still have strength, but strength without position is useless. She released, helped Hendricks up. "Thank you, Sergeant. That's exactly how it should go." Hendricks rubbed his neck, shook his head. "I've got 100 pounds on you, ma'am. How is that possible? Physics, leverage, timing." Sarah returned to the front of the class. "My father was an engineer before he was a SEAL. He understood that bodies are machines. Machines have breaking points. You just have to know where to apply pressure." Stone stood. Lieutenant Commander Morgan's father developed Ghost Protocol over 15 years. Every technique optimized for smaller operators facing larger opponents. What you're learning isn't just effective, it's revolutionary. Questions, Sarah asked. A female Marine raider raised her hand. Young, maybe 23. Reminded Sarah of herself a few years ago. Ma'am, how do you handle the mental part, everyone telling you you're too small, too weak, that you don't belong? Sarah was quiet for a moment. The question hit deeper than she expected. You don't overcome it, she finally said. You don't make it go away. The doubt never completely disappears. Not theirs, not yours. She touched the dog tags beneath her shirt. Her father's dog tags. But you learn to use it. Every person who says you can't becomes fuel. Every doubt becomes motivation. You don't prove them wrong with words. You prove them wrong by being so undeniably excellent that doubt becomes impossible. The raider nodded. But Sarah could see the uncertainty in her eyes. The same uncertainty she'd felt at 23. What's your name, Corporal? Martinez, ma'am. Elena Martinez. Stay after class, Martinez. I want to talk to you. Training continued for another 2 hours. Drills, techniques, sparring. Sarah watched each operator noting strengths and weaknesses. Who had natural talent? Who needed more work? Who might wash out? After the class dispersed, Martinez approached nervously. You wanted to see me, ma'am? Sit down, Corporal. Sarah gestured to the bench, sat beside her. How long have you been with the Raiders? 14 months, ma'am. And how many times have you heard that you don't belong? Martinez's jaw tightened. Every day, sometimes multiple times. From who? Everyone. Other Marines, support staff, even some officers. Martinez looked at her hands. Last month, my team leader told me I'd get someone killed. Said he'd never trust me on an actual mission. Sarah felt the old anger stir. The familiar fire that had burned through 12 days of Stone's harassment. What did you do? Nothing. What could I do? He's my superior. You could prove him wrong. How he won't give me the chance. Sarah stood, walked to her gear bag, retrieved her father's notebook, the worn leather cover, the yellowed pages. My father gave me this. Started writing it when I was born, kept adding to it until the day he died. She handed it to Martinez. Read page 1. Martinez opened the notebook. Her lips moved as she read. For Sarah, my ghost, my warrior. She looked up. Your father wrote this. 15 years of his life went into that book. Every technique, every principle, everything he believed I would need to become what I am. And what are you? Sarah smiled. Proof that size doesn't determine capability, that gender doesn't determine worth, that the people who doubt you are usually wrong. Martinez closed the notebook, tried to hand it back. Keep it, Sarah said. Ma'am, I can't. You can. Copy it. Study it. Learn it. Sarah gripped her shoulder. Then pass it on. That's how we change things. Not by arguing, not by complaining, by being excellent, by training others to be excellent, by building a legacy that outlives us. Martinez's eyes were wet. Why me? You don't know me. I know you. I was you. 3 years ago, I was a brand new SEAL with a team leader who thought I was worthless, who spent every day trying to make me quit. What happened to him? Sarah's smile widened. I put him unconscious in front of 400 people, then I saved his life in Somalia. Now he teaches by my side. Martinez looked across the gym. Stone was breaking down equipment with the other instructors. That's Staff Sergeant Stone, the one who called me a weakling, said I couldn't hold a gun. Yes. Sarah stood. People can change, Martinez, when they're shown proof they can't ignore. Be that proof. For everyone who doubts you. Martinez stood, clutched the notebook to her chest. Thank you, ma'am. For everything. Don't thank me. Make me proud. Martinez left. Sarah watched her go, remembered being that young, that uncertain, that hungry to prove herself. Some things never changed. Stone approached after the gym emptied. That was good, what you did with Martinez. She reminds me of someone. I can't imagine who. Stone smiled, the easy smile of friendship that had developed over months of training together. You know, I've been thinking. Dangerous hobby. About what you said that night in the hospital. About what I was going to do with my life. Sarah waited. I testified before Congress twice against women in combat. Used my reputation to hurt people like you. Like Martinez. Stone's face darkened. I can't undo that. Can't take back the damage. No, you can't. But I've been talking to some people. Old contacts. Senators. Pentagon officials. He paused. There's going to be a congressional hearing next month. About integration. About standards. About what's working and what isn't. And they want me to testify again. Sarah's stomach tightened. To say what? The truth. That I was wrong. That women like you belong in special operations. That the military is stronger because of integration, not weaker. She stared at him. You'd do that in front of Congress. I made the mess. It's time I helped clean it up. Stone met her eyes. But I want you there too, to tell your story, to show them what capability actually looks like. Stone, I don't. You defeated 7 trained fighters in one night. You led a successful hostage rescue. You carried me through a firefight when I couldn't walk. His voice dropped. Your story isn't just about you, Sarah. It's about every woman who's ever been told she doesn't belong. They need to hear it. Sarah looked at the dog tags beneath her shirt. Her father's legacy. He'd spent his career opening doors, breaking barriers, proving what was possible. Maybe it was time she did the same. When's the hearing? 3 weeks, Washington. Full congressional panel. I'll need time to prepare. I'll help you. We'll do this together. Sarah extended her hand. Partners. Stone shook it. Partners. 3 weeks later, Sarah sat in a wood-paneled hearing room on Capitol Hill. Dress blues pressed, ribbons aligned, her father's dog tags hidden beneath her shirt. Stone sat beside her, his own dress uniform equally pristine. Across from them, 12 senators. The Armed Services Committee, the people who decided military policy for 300 million Americans. Chairman Harrison gavelled the session to order. This hearing will examine the integration of women into Special Operations Forces. We'll hear testimony from Staff Sergeant First Class Marcus Stone, U.S. Army Rangers, and Lieutenant Commander Sarah Morgan, U.S. Navy SEALs. He looked at Stone. Staff Sergeant, you've testified before this committee twice previously, both times opposing integration. Has your position changed? Stone leaned toward his microphone. Yes, Chairman. Completely. Murmurs from the gallery. Senators exchanging glances. Could you explain? 3 years ago, I sat in this room and told you that women would get men killed in special operations, that they weren't physically capable, that integrating them would weaken our forces. Stone paused. I was wrong about all of it. What changed your mind? Stone looked at Sarah. Lieutenant Commander Morgan, I watched her defeat 7 of my Rangers in consecutive fights. I served under her command during a hostage rescue in Somalia. I watched her carry me to safety through enemy fire when I was wounded. He turned back to the committee. She's the finest combat leader I've ever served with, not despite being a woman, not because of being a woman, just because of who she is. Senator Williams leaned forward. Staff Sergeant, your previous testimony was cited extensively in arguments against integration. Some would say you caused significant harm to qualified female candidates. I did. I know that. Stone's voice cracked. I can't undo that harm, but I can spend the rest of my career fighting the prejudice I helped create. That's what I intend to do. Chairman Harrison nodded. Lieutenant Commander Morgan, we've heard Staff Sergeant Stone's perspective. We'd like to hear yours. Sarah leaned toward her microphone. Her heart hammered. 500 people watching. Millions more would see the recording. Chairman, members of the committee, my father was Master Chief David Morgan, SEAL Team 6. He died in Aleppo 5 years ago, saving 3 wounded operators and completing a hostage rescue mission. When she touched the dog tags beneath her uniform. Before he left for that mission, he gave me a notebook. 15 years of his life in those pages. Techniques. Principles. A system he called Ghost Protocol, designed specifically for smaller operators facing larger opponents. He knew I would face doubt. Knew people would look at my size and see weakness. So he gave me the tools to prove them wrong. Senator Mitchell interrupted. Lieutenant Commander, some argue that your success is an exception, that most women can't achieve what you have. Senator, with respect, that's the same argument people made about African Americans, about immigrants, about anyone different from the majority. Sarah kept her voice steady. Capability isn't determined by gender. It's determined by training, by dedication, by heart. There are physical differences. Yes, there are. Men are on average larger and stronger, but combat isn't arm wrestling. It's not about who can lift the most weight. It's about who can think fastest, react quickest, lead most effectively under pressure. She leaned forward. The night I fought 7 Rangers, I was outweighed by 60 to 100 pounds in every match. I won because I was faster, smarter, better trained, not because I was given special treatment, because I earned my skills through years of work. Senator Williams spoke again. Staff Sergeant Stone previously testified that women would compromise unit cohesion, that male operators would be distracted protecting them. Sarah looked at Stone. He nodded. Senator, in Somalia, Lieutenant Commander Morgan's element performed flawlessly, Stone said. No hesitation, no distraction. Her male teammates followed her orders without question, because they trusted her, because she'd earned that trust. And when you were wounded, she came back for me, through active gunfire, carried me 200 meters to extraction, 118 pounds carrying 210. Stone's voice thickened. Every man on that team would have done the same for her. That's unit cohesion, Senator. That's what real integration looks like. The hearing continued for 2 more hours. Questions about training standards, about physical requirements, about psychological assessments. Sarah answered everything, honestly, directly, without defensiveness or excuses. When Chairman Harrison finally gavelled the session closed, something had shifted in the room. Sarah could feel it. The skepticism hadn't disappeared, but it had cracked. Outside the hearing room, reporters swarmed, cameras flashing, microphones thrust forward. Lieutenant Commander Morgan, do you think your testimony will change policy? I think truth changes things, eventually, when enough people hear it. Staff Sergeant Stone. Any regrets about your previous testimony? More than I can count, but regret without action is useless. That's why I'm here. Sarah and Stone pushed through the crowd, found a quiet corner near the elevators. That went well, Stone said. Did it better than I expected. Some of those senators were actually listening. He paused. Thank you for letting me do this with you, for giving me a chance to make things right. Thank you for taking it. Sarah's phone buzzed. Text from Reed. Watching live. Your father would be so proud. Both of you. She showed Stone. His eyes went wet. Both of us. He included me. You've earned it. Stone shook his head. I haven't. Not yet. But I will. They walked out of the Capitol building together, into the sunlight, into whatever came next. 2 years passed. Ghost protocol spread through every special operations branch. Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines. The techniques Sarah's father had developed became standard curriculum. Stone became the program's most vocal advocate, traveling to bases worldwide, training instructors, converting skeptics one at a time. Sarah continued at DevGru, led 3 more successful missions, trained 200 operators, watched a new generation learn what her father had created. Then came the morning that changed everything again. She was in her office reviewing after-action reports when Reed appeared in her doorway. His face was strange, excited, but cautious. Sarah, there's someone here to see you. Who? Reed stepped aside. A woman entered. Mid-60s. Silver hair, straight spine. Eyes that Sarah would have recognized anywhere. Her mother. Mom. Sarah rose so fast her chair fell over. What are you doing here? Catherine Morgan crossed the room, embraced her daughter, held on like she was afraid to let go. I watched your testimony, 2 years ago. Every word. Her mother's voice trembled. I've been trying to find the courage to come to see you ever since. Courage, Mom, you could have called. I was afraid. Catherine pulled back, looked at her daughter's face. After your father died, I shut down, pushed you away, told myself I was protecting you when really I was protecting myself. Sarah's throat tightened. They hadn't spoken in 3 years, not since the funeral. Not since her mother had said she couldn't bear to watch Sarah follow her father's path. I was wrong, Catherine continued. About all of it. You're not going to die like he did. You're going to live like he lived. Fully. Bravely. Making a difference. Mom, I'm proud of you. So proud it hurts. Catherine's eyes overflowed. Your father would be too. He always knew what you'd become. I just couldn't see it until now. Sarah hugged her mother. For the first time in 3 years. For the first time since she'd become an orphan in everything but name. I missed you, Mom. I missed you too, baby. So much. They held each other in that office. 2 women bonded by grief, separated by fear, united again by time and courage. Reed watched from the doorway, smiled, slipped away to give them privacy. Later that evening, Sarah took her mother to the memorial wall. The names of fallen SEALs carved in bronze. They stood before her father's name. Master Chief David Morgan. He talked about you constantly, Catherine said. His warrior, his ghost. He knew from the day you were born that you'd be extraordinary. I'm just trying to live up to his legacy. You've exceeded it. Catherine touched the bronze letters. He gave you the tools. You built something larger, something that will outlive us all. Sarah pulled out her father's notebook. The worn leather, the yellowed pages. I've been copying this, for years, giving it to operators who need it. She handed it to her mother. But the original should stay in the family. Catherine took the notebook, opened it, read the first page through tears. For Sarah, my ghost, my warrior. He loved us, Mom, both of us. He died doing what he believed in, protecting people who needed protection. I know. I always knew. And Catherine closed the notebook. I was just angry at him for leaving, angry at you for following, angry at everyone except the people who actually took him. And now I'm grateful for the time we had, for the daughter we raised. She looked at Sarah. For the legacy that continues. They walked back to the main building, arms linked, reconnected. Some wounds took years to heal, but they did heal, eventually, when both sides were ready. 6 months later, Sarah stood on a stage at Coronado, the same base where Stone had first called her a weakling, the same gymnasium where she'd defeated 7 Rangers. But today, the gymnasium was filled with different people. 200 female operators from every branch. The first all-women advanced combatives course in military history. Sarah's course, her curriculum, her legacy. Stone sat in the front row, Martinez beside him. Both instructors now, both helping spread what Sarah had built. Welcome to Ghost Protocol Advanced Training, Sarah announced. Over the next 8 weeks, you'll learn techniques developed over 20 years. Techniques designed specifically for smaller operators facing larger opponents. She looked at the faces before her. Young, eager, determined. Some of you have been told you don't belong, that you're too small, too weak, that women can't do what men do. She smiled. I'm here to tell you those people are wrong. Every single one of them. And by the end of this course, you'll have the tools to prove it. Sarah touched the dog tags beneath her shirt. Her father's legacy. Her responsibility. My name is Lieutenant Commander Sarah Morgan. My father was Master Chief David Morgan. He died believing that capability has no gender, that excellence can come from anyone, that warriors are defined not by their size, but by their heart. She looked at the class, at the future. Let's get to work. And after class, Sarah found herself alone on the beach. The same beach where she'd run after Stone first humiliated her. The same waves, the same sand, the same horizon. But everything else had changed. She pulled out her phone, opened a text to read. It's done. First class started. 200 operators. The future. His reply came immediately. Your father is watching. Smiling. So am I. Sarah looked at the ocean. Somewhere beyond that water, her father had fought his last battle. Somewhere beyond that water, he'd given everything for the people he served. She was still fighting. Still giving. Still proving what was possible. But now she wasn't alone. 200 new warriors learning Ghost Protocol. Hundreds more around the world using techniques her father developed. A legacy spreading wider every day. Stone appeared beside her. Quiet, respectful. Good class, he said. First of many. You know, 3 years ago, I thought I knew everything about combat, about capability, about who belonged in special operations. And now I know I knew nothing. Stone looked at the waves. You've taught me more than anyone. Not just techniques, philosophy, how to see people for what they can become, not what they appear to be. Sarah smiled. That's what my father taught me. I'm just passing it on. He'd be proud. I know. They stood in comfortable silence, 2 warriors who'd started as enemies, ended as partners, bound by shared purpose. What's next? Stone asked. Tomorrow, another class, another opportunity. We keep building, keep training, keep proving. Until Sarah touched her father's dog tags, felt the warm metal against her skin. Until capability is the only standard that matters. Until no one doubts based on gender. Until little girls everywhere know they can become warriors if they want to. That's a big mission. It's the only mission that matters. Sarah turned from the ocean, started walking back toward the base, toward the future she was building. Stone fell into step beside her. "You know what I think about sometimes," he said. That first day, when I called you a weakling, said you couldn't hold a gun." He shook his head. "I was so sure I was right. And now," Stone laughed, "now I know that you held something much heavier than a gun. You held 7 Rangers, you held a rescue mission together. You held me when I was wounded." He stopped, turned to face her. "You held an entire legacy in your hands, and you didn't just carry it. You expanded it, made it bigger than your father ever imagined." Sarah looked at the man she'd once hated, the man who'd tried to destroy her, the man who'd become her greatest ally. "Thank you, Marcus." For what? For changing, for growing, for proving that people can become better than their worst moments. Stone nodded. "Thank you for giving me the chance." They walked on, toward the base, toward the classes waiting, toward the legacy continuing. Behind them, the sun set over the Pacific. The same sun that had witnessed Sarah's lowest moment. The same sun that now witnessed her triumph. 3 years ago, she'd been a SEAL they called a weakling. Today, she was a legend. Not because of what she'd overcome, not because of what she'd proven, because of what she'd built. A system that would outlive her. Students who would carry it forward. A legacy that would protect warriors for generations to come. Her father had given her ghost protocol. She had given it to the world. And the world would never be the same. Sarah Morgan walked into the sunset. A warrior, a teacher, a legacy. Her father's voice echoed in her memory. The last thing he'd ever written. Being strong isn't about never falling. It's about standing back up. She had fallen. Many times, she had stood back up, every time, and she would keep standing. Because Morgans don't quit. Because warriors never give up. Because the mission continues. And because somewhere watching over her, a father smiled at the daughter who had become everything he ever dreamed.